Hi guys, it's AstroloTEA time. I'm here with the November horoscopes, spilling the tea on Scorpio season. Yeah, so we're in the thick of it.
Into the thick of it.
To be real with you, a lot of us are going through some rough patches. No hate to Scorpio.
Be nice.
I'm finding it.
It take you that long to find it?
It does.
No hate to Scorpio season, but this was definitely a harder one. There's a lot going on. So let's be honest, Scorpio season is a little bit mischievous in the sense that there's darker themes that come up with this transit, okay? But let's get into it. I'm going to be going from Aries to Pisces. And just as a refresher, this is how you're going to watch my horoscopes. You're going to watch for that, your rising, your moon, your sun, and this is a bonus, but for my horoscopes, you should also watch the sign of your chart ruler. And the sign of your chart ruler is basically find out what your rising sign is. So if you're a Taurus rising, your chart ruler is Venus. If you are a Pisces rising, your chart ruler is Jupiter. Okay, so watch for that sign in your natal chart. So for most people, it'll be 4 signs. For some of you, it might not be that many because some of you don't know your birth time. But regardless, those are the signs you're going to watch for. So, but yeah, that's really it. So let's spill the tea. Let's get into it. I will see you at your sign. Hey Aries. All right, so let's get into your horoscopes for the month of November. So pretty much you're going to have Mars and Mercury in Sagittarius from November 4th to November 18th. Okay, so I know it's Scorpio season, but you're going to be having these planets in Sagittarius, and one of them is your chart ruler, so it's Mars. This means you're going to be a little bit more adventurous this month, and you're going to be wanting to try new things. You're going to want to get out there, explore more. You might even have travel plans on your mind. Can't say this is a great month to travel. I will explain that more in the horoscopes. Mercury retrograde is coming up, so you don't really want to do that, but I'll give you some tips on how to navigate that. All right, so you're going to be really into learning or researching spiritual topics or going and getting like psychic readings. I might do that myself, but you might be interested in doing more psychic type of things or more interested in the occult as well. Sagittarius also does kind of rule over the extraterrestrial and like spiritual occult topics as well. So you might be very interested in doing that. You might have some books that you have on the back burner. I'm like literally looking at my bookcase next to me, but you might have some books that you want to read or go through again. Okay. So I see that being very blessed this month because Mercury is going to be going retrograde in your 9th house. All right. Now coming up is the full moon in Taurus. Okay. So we're going to jump to that really quick. And that is going to be November 5th. All right. It's going to answer to Venus in Libra in your 7th house of a money placement. This is a good money indicator. And this is a great moon for like money and finances. So given that Libra is in your 7th house, this is obviously probably going to be coming from partnerships, business, a relationship, a partner. What it could also mean something to do with law as well. If you're in business, sales will do extremely well. If you want to put out a sale, you might get like a lot of transactions or something coming in around that time. So I would really do that. Like you might even want to align it with payday or something. So I don't know when your paydays are. For me, I feel like that oftentimes paydays fall on like Thursdays, which is like a Jupiter day. So that can definitely be happening for a lot of you. I also just see your partner being more well off and generous during this time and during this moon. Okay. And you may gain some money making insights. So you might have an idea that makes you a lot of money. You end up executing it very well and you get some type of payout from it. Okay. The other thing that I want to say to you is do the best with what you have. So we have the full moon in your feel you're lacking somewhere and you feel like you're lacking money or you don't have money making potential, which is a lie.
You said no. The lie detector determined that was a lie.
Like, don't lie to, like, that's not true. That's not true. You're not cursed, okay? But some of you guys might be feeling like you're not abundant enough. So it's really important with this full moon, and a good ritual for you guys would be to count your blessings. to it, obviously. So I just feel that there's this idea that you have more than enough, and it answers to Venus in Libra. Yeah, definitely, this is accurate. So it answers to Venus in Libra. So there is this idea that you will have more than enough for what you need to do, or you are going to be paid, or something about security. Okay, so I don't want any of you to feel like you're cursed financially, because you're not. So count your blessings. This is the transit for you to journal or to write down and account for everything that you do have in your possession. Okay, and you will feel so grateful once you do that, and it's like taking inventory of what you have.
Damn. I'm sorry.
And you're gonna be like, dang, like I am blessed. Okay. I will also say that there is this idea of gaining from negative attention. So this is going to get a little woo-woo for some of y'all. I don't know if it's going to, like, if any of you guys are going to be receptive to, of course you're going to be receptive to this. Where do you think you are? Where do you think you are? Duh. You guys are definitely receptive to this. Okay. So I see this idea of a lot of you gaining from some type of negative attention. And this is exciting. Okay. So there is transmutation afoot. Scorpio season is about transmutation. It's about taking energy.
Sometimes it may be good, sometimes it may be shit.
No matter good or bad, and benefiting from it. So there's this idea of you getting attention, and it could be good or bad, it could be negative even, and you be like, what else? Or people like could just be putting a bunch of hate comments in there, but they're getting more views and get paid out. So you guys, you can turn negative attention into something financial or like money. Okay, so that I also see coming for you. I feel like a lot of you need to not feed into these scare tactics of a scarcity mindset, because there are so many different ways to make money. There are so many different ways to make money. There are so many ways to stretch a dollar even. I see that. Other thing, so let's get back into Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius. And that's going to be starting November 9. Now, travel may be possible. Just be very aware of mishaps. Like you want to check your papers, check the dates, check the tickets, make sure that there's no like holdups with where you're traveling to, check travel advisories, get your papers in order, check the the whole shebang. Just check everything and get anything you can in order before Mercury retrograde. And even if it's after retrograde, just, make sure you review things, you rehash things, you go through things again and again and again, okay? Repetitive. It's like a repetitive thing, okay? But what I will recommend is I want you guys to, if you are traveling, I see you guys having more luck with traveling to places you've been before, okay? Travel to places you've been before, travel to places, I see like pilgrimages home maybe, travel to, I just see people traveling more so back, going back to where you've been, okay? Somewhere you're familiar with. I feel that if you were to do that, that would be very blessed for you. If you're just trying to figure out if you should go visit family or if you should go home for the holidays or whatever, yeah, you should. I think that is perfect energy for it. It is around Thanksgiving and Christmas time, and I just feel that like this is well supported by the energy in the cosmos, okay? It's this kind of pilgrimage back. So I see that happening for a lot of you guys. Jupiter is going to be retrograding November 11th. And so it's going to be about traveling to places you've been before, especially family. It's going to be very blessed for you, okay? Jupiter is in Cancer, and any Sagittarius is answering to Jupiter. So Jupiter being in Cancer retrograde is, again, instilling this idea of going back to places you're familiar with, okay? It's this idea of taking... walking down memory lane again, okay? Some other things that I would say is if it's not travel that you're going to be doing, I see you researching and learning something this month, and I already talked about that before, but I see you very much or you're more motivated to learn or pursue higher education. So that might be something you want to do or you're motivated to do, because Mars will be in Sagittarius. What I want to say is that there might be some mix-ups in legal matters, paperwork, or issues with government offices and benefits. So that's going to probably take some time. I wouldn't bank on receiving things speedily. So if there's something maybe you need to save a little bit more, be a little bit more resourceful about how you use money around now. That's what I talked about again with that full moon in Taurus. You can really stretch a dollar. You can really make things stretch right now. And you're going to have to just be more resourceful. That's Scorpio energy. Okay. So you're going to have to just make things stretch, whether that means buying frozen goods, canned foods, non-perishables, things that can sit around for a long time without going bad. That's going to be super important for you. Buy in season because things will be cheaper. These are all aspects of making a dollar stretch. Okay. So I just want you to know that, but there's this idea of a slow payout or things being held up if they're related to government or if they're related to benefits. Okay. We all know if you're in the US, there's a lot going on now with government shutdown. Benefits have been cut for a lot of people. And so people are going through some really hard times. And if you are one of those people, I'm very sorry to hear that. If you are not one of those people, please look into local communities in your area, maybe donate. There's this idea also of maybe going through what you have and seeing if you can spare some money or if you can spare some resources or some items for people who are in a, unfortunate situation. Okay. That would also be very much supported during this energy too. Could also be an aspect. Okay. Rather than booking a flight, consider soul searching. Good time to reassess your life path. It's a good time to also reconnect with elders and get advice. I see you reaching out to mentors, role models, guides in your chosen life path for clarity. If you are confused on what to do, how to do it, what's the best course of action, that's definitely something. So October was a very hard month for Aries. It really was. I've definitely went through it myself. I saw a lot of antagonism since Mars was in Scorpio, and that was going through your 8th house. Okay. And the full moon answered to the 8th house. So there may have been some insecurities rising to the surface. Okay. And I know a lot of you guys were like, oh, are the transits going to get better?
Please not today, not today, not today, 'cause
Definitely let you guys know. So if you were dealing with antagonism during October, like I said, it's really just a symptom of your power. I know a lot of you guys are like, oh, you're just talking like my mom. Oh, they're jealous. I'm serious. I'm really seriously. These people, if you were dealing with situations like that, people are jealous. Okay. That's why I'm talking about that full moon in Taurus. Please count your blessings. Know what you have, what you stand for, and know, like, a lot of you guys are going through life and you don't realize like how you're blessed. You don't realize like what you have. You're not aware of it. So if you were to just sit down and be grateful for what you do have, you would understand maybe why someone is coveting you or someone is coveting something you have. It could be people are jealous of anything. You have to understand that. People are jealous of anything. Literally, people could be jealous because they're straight. Like some people are just jealous of anything. It doesn't matter. So stop thinking to yourself like, what do I have to be jealous of? Like a lot of you guys have more than you think. And that's also going to be super important for you to protect yourself because you're going to know your blessings. You're going to understand what your blessings are and you're going to be in a better situation or better place to protect them or to protect yourself. Okay. And you are going to take more pride in yourself as well. And you're not going to constantly be going over your head over and over like, oh, why is this person doing this? You're going to start being like, yeah, I get it. I would be too. You know what I mean? I'm so grateful for where I am in life. This transit also revealed a lot. It's revealed a lot to you and it revealed the truth to you. Okay. The sun goes conjunct moon and then there is a new moon November 20th and it's conjunct Mercury in Mercury retrograde. opposite Uranus. Okay, so I just want you all to know that this is about seeing things as they are. Okay, you are going to look at a situation that was maybe old news or situation that you thought you were familiar with new eyes. You're going to see the situation. Sorry, there's something in my vision. You're going to see the situation with new eyes. Okay. So that is what I see coming for you this new moon. You're going to realize that situations that you were in and you were unaware of, you start to understand them a little bit more holistically. You start to see them with a wider view or a wider lens. Okay. And I feel like you're going to be releasing lies that you told yourself and any false narratives that you shared with yourself. Like I told you, there's this idea that you finally understand maybe why you were facing the antagonism you were facing. It's not like you need to necessarily make sense of it, but you need to understand that, like, where you stand with certain people. And that's just how it is. Other things could be, this could be with yourself. Maybe there were certain lies you told yourself. Maybe there were certain things that you did to self-sabotage, and you end up releasing those types of behaviors, okay? So it's this idea of confronting it and releasing it, okay? And not letting it, all right? And the other thing that I want to mention is while the sun and the stellium is in the 8th house, I need you all to use negativity as fuel, all right? So you guys can bank a lot on negative energy to transform or benefit in some way. And I briefly talked about it earlier, but what does that mean? So that is going to mean redirecting any energy back to yourself. You're going to let it fuel and eating hatred for breakfast. You need to start eating hate for breakfast. Like, simply put, you need to use it to level up, whatever that means to you. So it could simply be working out, dieting, a new diet, dressing up more, learning, leveling up your mindset, investing, saving. It could also be sleeping. Like, seriously, it could just be like you need to start getting some sleep. Maybe someone's taking up a lot of your time and you're like, nah, like, I'm sorry, but I gotta take some me time. You start setting boundaries even, and not feeling guilty about it. The other aspect could be maybe someone is emotionally dumping on you a lot and you're just kind of tired of it. You're sick of it and you create those boundaries. Okay. So there's something about whatever that means to you. There's also an idea of calling back your energy this transit, especially after November 19th, because Mercury is going to go retrograde in Scorpio then. So calling back your energy may be needed. There's things like name rituals where you call your name and you basically call back all the energy to your name. All right. So I want you guys to lock in for this month and do that. Can be some type of way for you to transmute any negative energy that you do gain. Okay. But there is a way for you to bank on that. So I know for Scorpios, anyone Mars ruled, to be honest, because like I'm like this sometimes, but like anytime someone's kind of giving you crap or hate or and like being antagonistic towards you for some reason, like sometimes it's fuel, sometimes it's like gasoline to the fire. Like it can basically it can motivate you, okay, to work harder. So some of you guys need to start. And what I will next say is I see you being able to find your voice more around this time, especially the beginning of the month, because Mercury is going to went into Sagittarius. But, you know, there's going to be some other things that happen as well. But that's really it. I feel like at the end of the month, things are going to get much easier. Okay. Saturn's going to go direct in Pisces, November 28th. Mercury, and that's in your 12th house. Mercury is going to go direct in Scorpio, November 29th. And Venus will then move into your 9th house, November 30th. So it'll be moving into Sagittarius. Okay. So there's a lot of good things that are going to come from this kind of self-exploration, really kind of taking a chance on yourself, and also like doing a lot of the stuff that I mentioned, like learning, investing in your education, possibly traveling, maybe going back home. Maybe you just need that respite and that break and that might help you kind of get back in touch with. Also, the other thing I wanted to mention is that there is this idea, because Jupiter, Saturn, and Uranus retrogrades will be sextile and trine each other. So there's this idea of being supported in things that you return to. So if there is anything on the back burner that you want to go back and research or look into again, I feel that it will be very blessed for you. So definitely you will be supported in whatever you decide to go back to. So that might be something that you're interested in doing this month coming up. So please consider doing that. All right, so that's all I have for you, Aries. Let me know how your month goes. Of course, you all know I am in astrology. So let me know down in the comments how your month is, to hear what you have to say. All right. Hey, Taurus. Hey. So let's get into your the month of November for you guys. So, I didn't even say anything yet. Back to what I was saying. You may be tasked to change or reconsider your viewpoints, okay? Because Sagittarius, which Mars and Mercury will be in, because these are happening in your 8th house, they're going to be answering to Jupiter in the 3rd house. The 8th house is about transformation, and the 3rd house is about communication, your views, your opinions, your ideas, okay? Communication styles, that's what the 3rd house is. But you might be tasked to change or reconsider your viewpoints. And this may require you to reevaluate like family values, beliefs, generational views, traditions, because Jupiter is going to be in Cancer. And it will be going retrograde November 11th. So these are some things that can be taking place for you. You may also be reconsidering how your traditions are followed through in your family. And some of you are reconsidering even being with family during the holidays, okay? So you'll have to let me know how that goes, because that seems interesting. But there may also be a change in like who handles family dealings, or who takes on like the family mantle, or there might be some changes in like head of household or decision making there. So I'm curious if maybe your family is going through a transition right now. But I do see you making your own way and making these decisions. So I see you changing your views around money, debt, and how you source abundance. It can also be changing your views about your relationships, your friendships, your connections, business, religion, culture. And I see you transforming viewpoints or beliefs that were passed down by your family. Okay. I see a lot of you guys like learning or looking into self-help books. What is it? Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and Think and Grow Rich. And there's this other book called like, Why Didn't They Teach Me This in School? It's like a money book. So I see like some of you guys like picking up one of these books, because I feel like you are changing how your family dealt with money. Like maybe your family didn't handle money very well. Maybe your family doesn't believe in certain money-making jobs or careers or potential. Like they don't think you can make money a certain way, or they feel like there's only one type of way and it's going to be the way they did it. So I see you really changing and transforming how you source your money, or changing from your family's perception of how to do that. And I see you probably using a book or researching how to do that and changing your mindset related to money. So old situations might come up, and you have to figure out new ways to deal with the situation to change future outcomes. But let's say you have a credit card and you didn't understand credit cards before, so like you completely maxed it out, and maybe you're in the midst of paying it down, or you're switching or doing like a credit card refinancing, which would be blessed around now if you wanted to do that. But let's say you're doing all that, and then like this time around you decide, okay, hey, I'm going to understand what a credit card is. I'm going to understand what credit is. I'm going to look into credit cards. You start to learn about interest rates. You understand like how interest rates work and how to avoid like penalties and all this kind of stuff. So you really start to learn maybe the institution of finances in general. So I see a lot of you guys like learning how to deal with a old situation that you were in. So you're handling it a lot better this time around. Okay. You could also be changing your views on roles and relationships. So you might be maybe the roles and relationships in gender and sexes. Okay. So Venus is in the 7th house. Okay. Venus is going to be in the 7th house, and it answers to Mars in the 8th house with Mercury. So there is this idea of maybe you had certain views or opinions on the roles of people in a relationship, right? It could be this gender does this gender does that. Or maybe you're in a same-sex relationship and maybe people are trying to put you in a box, but it doesn't work like that. You know what I'm saying? So you're like changing how you perceive, or how you might even be changing like from your family. That's what I'm saying. Like a lot of these things are passed down from your family. And so you're just like reevaluating all of that. And you're like, you know what? I don't want this to apply to me. I don't want this to apply to my life. So I see a lot of that for you. And you might have to like try to convince your family of this, or try to like fight against your family in regards to that. Okay. I see your family maybe not understanding your family dynamics or the roles in this. So I definitely see, like, for example, maybe you don't want to go home because maybe you are a same-sex couple, and like your family, you don't want to expose your kids to maybe narrow-mindedness or anything that might be that might make them see these things in a negative light. So that could also be an aspect too. I also see you reconsidering a relationship or commitments to others based on differing viewpoints. So maybe you're in a relationship with someone and you don't like the way, maybe there's some aspect of their opinion that you're like, that don't vibe with me. You know, like maybe they have a political affiliation and you're like, I don't with that, you know? And I'm going to be honest with you, people who get into relationships with people with like, they don't support their political affiliation. I don't know how people do it. I don't know how you can do that, because like nowadays, political affiliations is life and death for some people. It's seriously life and death for some people. So I don't know how people can be in a relationship with people with differing political views. I don't get it, because this needs to be discussed like second, third date, or this needs to be discussed like immediately between two people, because we're not compatible. If not, like we got to believe in human rights, y'all. We got to believe in human rights. So that's just the bare minimum. That's literally bare minimum. But some of you guys might be discovering maybe someone's viewpoints and you're like, that don't jive with me. That does not vibe with me. And you either have to cut it off or end it or revise how you deal with that person. Good luck. I see next, like you might be also fearful of change. You might be fearful of change or what the future holds because your 7th house, it answers to the 8th house. And so in your 7th house, you have Scorpio. And so Scorpio is ruled by Mars, and you have your Mars in your 8th house. So you are maybe fearful of what change is going to bring. You're fearful to change because you don't know what that's going to kickstart. You don't know what the future holds, and you're scared to take a risk or a gamble based on your change in this opinion or your view. All right. The 8th house is the house of fear. And you might be scared to take risks, gamble. You might be scared of the future. Sagittarius in the 8th house, it rules over those types of things, taking a risk, gambling. A lot of Sagittarius have an addiction to gambling. Fun fact. But you're scared to take risks. You're scared to gamble. You're scared of the future, basically, or like future outcomes. Taurus people are very notorious for security and trying to be stable. So this can be very destabilizing for you to even like think of it or to really transform in this realm of your life, okay? You have to prepare for the eventuality of this. Sagittarius season is going to be coming up, and it's going to be entering your 8th house, okay, the sun. And so this is going to be highlighted. So you need to be prepared for the future to unfold, and you need to start. You guys don't understand, like, you are integral to your future, right? You're integral to your future. Like, your future can't happen without your help. So you have a hand in creating your future. So if you were to just act, or if you were like, if you do have an opinion or a view, you have to be honest with yourself and honest with the people around you, because that's going to determine your future. You're going to be in the thick of Sagittarius season.
Into the thick of it. Into the thick of it.
And a lot of these things are going to come up, and you can't ignore them, okay? because the sun's going to be there. All right. Have the, oh my gosh, I talked so long, but let's talk about the full moon in Taurus. Okay. The full moon in Taurus is going to be November 5th. It's going to answer to Venus in Libra in your 6th house. Last month we did talk about health. So we're going to get back into that. I do see you needing to release this like old version of yourself. And this may be an old version defined by a partner or a connection. It could also be something defined by maybe a lifestyle, a health lifestyle of yours. Maybe you start ending this relationship you have with a certain food group, with certain foods. Maybe you find out, hey, I have an allergy. Now I got to release these types of foods. I can't eat them. You know what I'm saying? So like you start to release this old version of yourself. You could literally also be releasing pounds. Okay. You could literally be like, hey, I'm way lighter since I cut this out, you know? So I do see this idea of a release of an old version of yourself. You might be letting go of dead weight. Okay. If you didn't notice, but my previous horoscopes, it was all Titanic. It was all Titanic, and it was about letting go of something that no longer serves you, unfortunately, okay? Like freeze it out of your life, like Jack, like Rose, drop Jack off that door, okay? So you got to do this for your life. You have to do this for your survival, and you have to do this for your livelihood, okay? You need to save yourself. Save yourself. Get on the lifeboat, guys. I do see that if this isn't romantic, I kind of feel like it is. But if it's not romantic, you start seeing the worth in what you as an individual brings to the table. All right. So you start to kind of stand on your own 2 feet, and you start to realize like, ooh, like you start to realize your worth. Okay. The price today is not the price tomorrow, or the price yesterday is not the price today, basically. Okay. You start to really understand your value. You don't need anyone to validate your existence or to make you feel worthy, but like be aware of that you have more than enough. Make sure you count your blessings during the full moon. The ritual includes like taking inventory. This is a ritual for the full moon. Take inventory of what you have, what you love about yourself, okay? Be thankful for your health. Invest more into that area because Venus in the 6th. And after taking inventory, don't forget to, if there is something you have an abundance of, maybe take it to charity, okay? So if it's like a material thing, don't forget to, participate in some charity around this time, okay? Don't subscribe to scare tactics or your scarcity mindset that you aren't abundant enough to give, okay? Another thing I'll mention is because we do have Scorpio season taking place and it's in your 7th house, you may notice a lot of vampiric energy around you, and you realize that you were the power source all along. You realize that like, damn, like I was the source, like I'm being fed off of, okay? I'm seeing Interview with the Vampire, right? You're Louis, okay? Interview with the Vampire. I love that show, y'all. I love that show. It was toxic as hell. I loved it. But yeah, you're the power source. So on the flip side, someone may be trying to control you with resources and you clock it. Clock it. So that might be something you notice. Then we have Scorpio Venus moving into your 7th, November 6th. And this can be good and this can be bad, but I see some power plays and intensities in relationships. So more entwined resources could be at hand, enmeshment, energy vampirism. Venus is square Pluto and Aquarius. So that means extreme disparities in haves and have-nots in those houses. So there is this disparity of maybe your partner, really good career, or maybe you have a really good career and they're jealous or you're jealous. Something about there's this disparity. Someone has something and this other doesn't. Someone doesn't have something and the other does. So there is this idea that this can be, you can be bumping heads, or there is some type of inequality going on, okay? You will truly see the disparities between you and your partner, between other peers even, and you realize you were playing small or you were being too humble or naive about something you do have. This is very random, but careful with identity theft during this transit or people putting things in your name. It could be a partner. So just be careful of that. Be mindful of taking on debt from others and other liabilities. Do background checks. There's really this theme of identity theft going on. So just be mindful. Mercury going retrograde in Sagittarius November 9th, and it'll be in your 8th house. So research, learning, reviewing family history, family heritage. You might be wanting to do DNA tests even. You are not the father. Why did I write that?
You are not the father.
Anyways, you DNA tests, right? Jupiter will also be going retrograde in Cancer November 11th. So yeah, around this time, you're going to be very nostalgic to like learn about your family. You might want to learn about different cultures. Maybe you are part of a culture that you weren't aware that you were part of. So that's something that might come to light. Mercury is going conjunct Mars in Sagittarius November 12th. So a lot of you guys will be picking up old hobbies or passions. Family members may share something with you that they used to do and you want to do it as well. These are the people who have good relationships with their family, okay? But anyways, family might teach you a tradition. You put a spin on it. So maybe a family recipe, you put your own spin on it and try it differently. So that's kind of cute. The other thing I would say is Sun goes conjunct Lilith November 18th, and that's in your 7th. So I see someone like leaving or like maybe a cheating allegation, like something like that. Who said that?
Who had been saying that? Who said that? Who said that? Who said that?
Right. Let's move on. New moon conjunct Mercury retrograde November 20th, and it is opposite Uranus. So something very destabilizing. You seeing past patterns in relationships with new eyes. Mars answers to Sagittarius, and you see the big picture of a situation, a relationship, a situationship. I don't believe in those. Those don't exist. Let's just be so for real. I see you actively stopping yourself from repeating a cycle. So good for you. Someone will try to re-enter your life around this time. And while you're entering this new chapter, please do not let them. Full stop. When it comes to business, you need to try again for a past opportunity that passed you by, or a past opportunity you talked yourself out of. You need to go for it. You may also receive some old news or secrets. I want you to act on that news only after November 29th when Mercury goes direct, okay? Venus will also be conjunct Mercury around this time. So things, acting on information you learn around that time will be better received, okay? I also see you maybe learning a secret from a loved one or about a loved one. Remember the who said that? Maybe something private with loved ones. So there's something to do in a close relationship where secrets come out, okay? It could also be like insider information. We are talking Scorpio season stocks. You never know. It's giving Martha Stewart, okay? Other things that could indicate is maybe gaining tips or learning about finances, especially if I said how it's after like November 29th on. Those are going to be, you need to listen to financial advice around that time, okay? If someone does tell you something, take it at face value. Yeah, Mercury goes direct November 29th in Scorpio, and Saturn will also be direct November 28th. So that's even more support to have clear communication, okay? Opens the lines of communication up a little bit more and makes things a little bit more constructive, all right? And Venus will be going into Sagittarius November 30th. So this is the time, like I said, you need to take risks a little bit more. This is a great time to take a risk and to bet on yourself. So, yep, that's all I have for you, Taurus. Let me know down in the comments, maybe, I would say let me know down in the comments what you're most scared of for November or worried about for November, or if it resonated, you can let me know. As you all know, I'm in astrology, so I would love to hear how you guys are dealing with things, okay? All right, so I will talk to you guys later. That's all I have for you, Taurus. Hey, Geminis. All right, so let's get into your horoscopes for November. All right, so pretty much you're going to have Mercury, Mars in Sagittarius in your 7th house for most of the month. Mercury's going to retrograde into your 6th house, so we'll get into that because Mercury is your chart ruler. There's a lot going on, so let's get into it. I'll break it down for you. So for November, Geminis, November 5th, you're going to have the full moon, and it's going to be in Taurus, and it's going to be happening in your 12th house. So the full moon in Taurus in your 12th house gives me this idea that it might force you to take care of yourself. It might force you to sit your ass down, okay? Basically, it can force you to take care of your health. The 12th and the 6th house axis has to do with health, if you guys didn't know. It also has to do with like mental health even, all right? And taking a breather, resting, okay? It also rules over sleep. So I get this idea of maybe you having to oversleep after no sleep. Maybe you end up binge eating after a restrictive diet, or maybe you didn't eat at all because you were super stressed, or you forgot to eat, or you were on the go so much and you basically just stopped eating for some reason. So you might have to rest after an injury, maybe because you pulled a muscle while you were working out or something like that, because you didn't stretch or you didn't warm up. And so there's this idea of extremes, or going from one extreme end to the other, and there being repercussions for it, okay? So that's kind of what I see with that full moon in Taurus. The only thing that I am a little concerned about is the Uranus opposite Mercury, because you guys are ruled by Mercury. Remember, if you watched the previous horoscopes from last month, there is this idea of, like I said, extremes or repercussions from ignoring your health, or like you might be more accident prone. Maybe you don't get enough sleep and you're not paying attention. So this is super important that you listen to this and that you try to take care of your health as much as possible. The full moon in your 12th house, there's also this idea of being grateful for your spiritual team. If you are a spiritual person or you're religious in any way, I do see you being grateful for your religion or your belief in a higher power, or you may be giving kudos to a higher power. This could even be, if you believe in ancestral veneration, this would be a great time to feed your ancestors, or to do some type of veneration, or develop an altar, or create an altar or designated space for that type of energy. It could even be an altar to yourself. It could be anything really, but I do see you at, kind of doing something or culminating something in regards to your spirituality. This could also kind of speak to maybe you have a revelation or a dream, or that some spiritual guidance comes your way in this. If you are forced to rest, maybe it comes to you in a dream or some alone time that you were able to have, okay? And also I see it coming when you like least expect it, or when you're having like fun. You might even be lucid dreaming, or you might have a situation where like you daydream and you come up with a really great idea or something like that. I don't know. But like I do see something about, you might even see some type of future self, or maybe you in the future and you're a lot more comfortable and things are a lot more stable. Something like that is what you see. You may also be still dealing with maybe a lingering condition from October. That's also something that there's something lingering from before, because remember you still had a lot of planets in your 6th house from the last horoscope. So there might be something that you're still recovering from October. So this is a weird type of horoscope, and I'm not sure if this is going to resonate for all of you, but this is an interesting take on this. I feel that because Venus, Scorpio, we already talked about Scorpio. Scorpio does sometimes bring up themes of jealousy, envy, coveting something. So I see that like Venus being in Scorpio in your 6th house. 6th house is your house of productivity, and Venus answers to Mars in Sagittarius, and Mars is going to be in your 7th house. And then what is the 7th house? The 7th house is a number of things. It's business. It is business can be related to law. It can be related to your relationships, contracts. The other thing that it is also related to is open enemies. So it can be related to opponents, your ops, okay? Healthy competition almost, like it's competition, it's competitiveness there too. So when I see Venus in the 6th answering to Mars in the 7th house, there's this idea of maybe some unhealthy competition taking place, or you are comparing yourself to others. You're comparing your efforts to other people's accomplishments, or other people's efforts, or whatever their outcomes are. You're comparing yourself, and I don't think it's healthy. And so I think this is a toxic thing that you're doing around now. And so I'm going to give you some guidance on that, but I just feel like you're trying to play catch up with a partner, or you feel like you're not worthy, like you feel like you're not doing enough compared to other people. Also, this message of maybe you even resenting others because they get opportunities, or you feel like you didn't get enough opportunities compared to others, okay? I just feel like I wish Gemini could get a break. I feel like it's been a very hard period for you guys. Can Gemini get a break?
Please not today, not today, not today.
A little hard for Geminis. I know you're going to ask, like, are the transits going to get better? We'll see. We have, like I said, Mercury and Mars in your 7th house in Sagittarius. And I see you meeting a great deal of different people, and they might inspire you. And this kind of, again, ties in the whole comparing yourself to others. And Jupiter is going to be retrograding November 11th. You want to follow the advice or the words of someone that you meet, or someone who's doing a lot better, who seems to be doing a lot better off than you, okay? This is a really random one, but I feel like some of you guys, I don't know, but please don't. It's a pyramid scheme. Like, if you are trying to get rich quick, it's a pyramid scheme. I'm telling you. Like, if there's some type of thing that you're following or joining, like, just be wary of pyramid schemes. Be wary of get rich quick schemes. Like I said, Jupiter is in the 2nd house, but it's retrograde. There's some type of like regret that could come from trying to get money quick. Okay, Jupiter retrograde is not bringing money in quickly. That's not how Jupiter retrograde works. It might bring in money from past efforts. It might bring in money from you putting work in from before, from the past. That's where I can see money coming from Jupiter retrograde. But Jupiter retrograde is not about you making money quick. You got to put in a lot more effort for you to get any money out of Jupiter retrograde. Basically, it's too good to be true. So that's the disclaimer I have for you. Some of you guys might feel very inspired by people, but during this time, but what they did may not work for you, or they could be lying, like flat out lying to you, okay? Or they could be showing a facade. You might want to rush into things. It will work against you. Be careful about trusting the advice from others, especially if it's too good to be true. Mercury will be going retrograde in the 7th house, and it'll be answering to, again, like I said, Jupiter in the 2nd. Jupiter in retrograde in your 2nd house will be changing how you make your money or you source your money. That could be an aspect, which is fine. That's fine. I just, as long as it's not a pyramid scheme. Jupiter retrograde could bring up themes where you're unsure of the big picture. And because you're unsure of the big picture, you don't plan for the future. Jupiter retrograde, where you, like I said, you're not planning for far ahead. You're not looking further. You're not thinking big enough. And so you could be very short-sighted about money. And it's this idea, penny wise, pound foolish. So if you don't know that idiom, go look it up. But it just means it's like you're thinking small. You're not thinking big. You're not thinking, it's like the unit price. You're looking at the price, but you're not looking at the unit price. You're not getting a lot of value out of something. You're comparing yourself to others. You think have it all, and you're wondering why it's not working for you. You might do something and it doesn't work out and you get really discouraged. So please do not compare yourself to others, and please go at your own pace. I feel like you might, that whole maybe Scorpio in the 6th house, it might be you're going to extremes because you're trying to catch up to people. You have to do things your own way. And a lot of times with Jupiter retrograde, I don't know if you guys know this, but like with Jupiter retrograde, the way I see it work a lot of times in the natal chart is sometimes Jupiter retrograde can mean the wrong mentors, the wrong guides, people who are in positions of authority around you, who are doing it the wrong way, who are basically leading you down the wrong path. Be someone with atypical teaching styles. It could be that too. But I also see it as sometimes people being reluctant to teach you. Sometimes people not being the best teacher. You end up teaching yourself, Jupiter retrograde, and it ends up being that you have to go inward and source the information yourself. Retrograde, it's like going within. This is you to do the leading for yourself. You end up, that's a teachable moment. Like, there's just going to be multiple ways for you to gain something. There's multiple ways. There's more than one way to skin a cat. I know this is a really bad phrase, so I'll use another one, but like all roads lead to Rome. You can get there. It's just, you might have to take a different path to get there. And also like tomato, like it's all the same thing. It's just, some people are just going to have to do it differently. Okay. There's just going to be a different way for you to get it. It's not going to necessarily be linear, but it's, you know, it's not going to be one type of way. It's going to be different, multiple ways. Okay. So this could also speak to maybe multiple streams of income. Are you working towards that? It could also mean maybe you having to go back to a side hustle or to do something to supplement an income that you do have. So that could also be happening. You might have this all or nothing approach, which is admirable, but it's unsustainable. So you might have this all or nothing approach because, like, let's get back to the sixth house. You do have a stellium going through your sixth house during this month in Scorpio. And I feel that you're going to be pushing yourself to the extremes. You're to get something done or to do things or to be productive. And maybe you don't feel or you don't have the energy to do something, so you don't do anything. Or you feel like it's too overwhelming to do anything, so you're in this paralysis state. You have to understand that it can lead to burnout, especially if you try to compete with someone, like I said, with more resources than you. That's another thing. Jupiter retrograde in the second house. Comparing yourself or pushing yourself too far can also drain you of your resources. Energy, time, money can drain you of your resources, by the way. So it'll suck you dry, literally. This transit is going to help you learn and experience things along the way. So there might be some hiccups, and that's fine. But those hiccups are there to kind of show you how to deal with things in the future. It's just experience. That's all it is, okay? It's not failure, it's experience. And it's going to serve you better in the long run, okay? It's not a race, it's a marathon. So whatever you're trying to achieve, just take your time. Take your time. I would just say try to learn from your opponents. If there is someone doing better than you, just take note. Like, okay, well, what are they doing? Maybe I can improve here and there. That's what you should be doing with this energy, not necessarily feeling resentful or saddened that you're not further along. Sixth house transits in Scorpio, there might be some shame at play regarding your work. Maybe you have to go back to doing something because Mercury will be retrograding there around November 19th. And so maybe you have to go back to doing something you don't want to do or you didn't like to do, or that, you know, it did bring money in, but, you know, for some reason there's shame tied to it. Because Scorpio kind of speaks to shame. It can sometimes speak to things being secretive. So maybe it's something that you don't want others to know. Or you kind of do discreetly. So maybe you end up going back to doing something like that as a form of work, okay? First off, I want you to not feel shameful about it. Like, if you have to keep it secretive, you know, that's on you. You can do that. But I don't want that to stop you from doing what you got to do, okay? There should be no shame attached to it, but you got to do what you got to do. But I do feel that that could be happening for some of you, okay? But I want to bring it into perspective. If there is something that fits, if it resonates, if it fits that bill, I don't want you to feel shameful about it. And, you know, everybody's got to make a living. Like, it's what it is, okay? So you're trying to fund something you want, or maybe make ends meet, or there's a dream you have. And that's absolutely possible for you to achieve. The new moon conjunct Mercury retrograde, this will be happening November 20th. It's going to also be opposite Uranus, but you may notice how putting pressure on yourself might lead to a certain health outcome. This is all about health. This whole month is all about health, but I want you to take stock of how your attitudes to work need to align with your health, and learn that extremes are not healthy. Okay, there's also another theme again of unhealthy competition. So you may learn there's no point in comparing yourself to others. I see you finding new ways to cope with extreme stress and dark times, and transforming how you handle stress. Okay, you also need to modify your productivity levels. It's like, you know, when you go to the gym or when you're doing workouts, there's like a modified version of like an exercise. So you don't have to do the full thing. You can do it in bits and pieces, or you can break it up, or you can, it's less impact, lower impact. Okay. So I get this idea that you might need to modify what your plans are. Okay. And this is especially since I feel like you're still getting back on your feet or recovering from October. So I feel like you just need to modify or manage your expectations. The other thing I want you to know is there's this idea of be in a toxic work environment, okay? And it's making you act out or propagate toxic behaviors in the workplace. And with like subordinates or coworkers, I'm not sure. But I do see that, and I feel that by November 29th, 30th, you will make a decision to leave a situation that puts you in this energy. So like that could again be related to maybe having to go back to work in this type of environment or something like that. Maybe there's an opportunity that allows you to leave, or you make the decision to leave, right? Maybe given the new moon is conjunct Mercury retrograde, it's this idea that like, you know what, I'm changing my mind, I'm leaving this place for good. So that could also be something that takes place. But I definitely see this idea how you realize that this place is toxic, it's making you act toxic, and it's basically like, you know what, I never dealt with this type of side, like I never knew that I had this type of side to myself, and you realize it's not you, it's the environment you're in. So I see that taking place for you as well. All right. So that's all I have for you, Geminis. Let me know how your month goes. I'd love to hear, maybe let me know in the comments, like what you're worried about for this month. Maybe I can help you down there in the comments, but let me know how your month is going. And yeah, as you always know, I am an astrology. So I'll talk to you guys later. Bye. Hey Cancers. All right, let's get into your horoscopes. So we're going to start off with your, what house is it? Sixth house. So your sixth house has Sagittarius in it. Yeah. So Mars and Mercury are there, and they're going to be there from November 4th to November 18th. They're going to be there for the first half of the month, okay? So this, I see a lot more energy. You working out a little bit more. You're thinking about going to the gym. It's going to be leg day every day. If you want an ass, now's the time.
Oh my God, Becky, look at her butt. It is so big.
Because if you were to work that area out, like I said, it's Sagittarius season. Sagittarius rules the butt and the glutes and the thighs, the hips, all that good stuff. So if that's something that you want, you can get it.
You can do side bends or sit-ups, but please don't lose that butt.
Because it's going to be now into December, all right? And I mean that with all seriousness. No, for real. You have Mars and Mercury in your sixth house of Sagittarius. A lot of you guys are going to be very health focused. You're going to want to be buying more supplements. You're thinking about your health more. Just make sure, obviously, to consult a health professional or your pharmacist or, your doctor about these things, because drug interactions exist. But you're going to be very interested in your health, and you're going to possibly wanting to buy things related to that, okay? So you researching your health a lot more. Other mention is Jupiter is going to retrograde in your first house because it's in Cancer, and Jupiter retrogrades November 11th. So I see you learning about your body. Please pay attention to anything of note about your body, like bodily systems. Like monitor when you go to the bathroom. Monitor when you go to the bathroom. Maybe you have like a skin irritation, or maybe you notice some type of skin condition, or maybe your nails aren't growing as they used to, or they're chipping, or they're flaking. Like your body is going to give you lots of signals, and there's going to be lots of like signs that you might know, like, oh, this might be a deficiency, this might be this might be that. So there is definitely this idea of really watching your health this month and monitoring how you are, and you learning a lot about your body and how your body works and the signals your body sends you. So this could be a very good month for learning in regards to yourself, okay? The other thing I want to mention is Jupiter in Cancer. Cancer rules over your digestion, your stomach, your reproductive system, how you nourish yourself as well. So anything that has to do with that, those are some things that you're probably going to be looking into. Oh, I'm going to tell you, get second opinions. If you're concerned about a condition and you go to one health professional and they tell you one thing and you think it's a little extreme, you're like, I don't really vibe with that. Maybe they want you to do some type of serious procedure and you're like, I really don't think I want to do that. I don't even know if this is the case. Get a second opinion. This idea of getting second opinions are going to be so important because we do have a Mercury retrograde. It's going to go retrograde in Sagittarius November 9th. So, and it's going to be in your 6th house. So it's this idea of going back and reviewing and rehashing these issues with another health professional. Get a second opinion. Get someone else to maybe look into it for you, because you might learn something different, or someone might have more information about it, and you might not have to do something that results in some more serious repercussions, okay? So please get something looked at again. We have the full moon in Taurus November 5th at the beginning of the month, and it's going to be answering to Venus in your 4th house in Libra, okay? So I see you being very thankful for, the full moon is going to be in your 11th house. I see you being very thankful for your support systems. This might be a good time to reconnect with your friends, your loved ones who have invested in you. It's a good time to reflect on goals and for you to celebrate your wins as well. I want you to count your blessings, write them down, just because like not everyone is as blessed as you think you are. Like, you might think you're not as blessed, but then you start to take inventory of your blessings. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm swimming in blessings. Venus is going to be square Jupiter. And so a lot of times when we have Venus square Jupiter, it's this idea that we're not happy with enough with what we have, or there's this like push-pull between our wants and our needs. And I think counting your blessings is gonna help you put things into perspective. Showing gratitude for them is gonna help a lot. There's also something of note. Yeah, definitely get a second opinion. Okay, so Uranus is opposite Mercury in Sagittarius. And so Mercury is happening in your 6th house, and then Uranus in Gemini retrograde is happening in your 12th house. You might hear some news related to your health that's very shocking, and it's very like, you're like, oh my gosh. So that's going to be happening maybe around November 4th. But like I said, when retrograde comes around, I need you to go get that looked at again. Get a second opinion. Do a little bit more testing, and you might surprise yourself that that's not the case at all. Okay? So that's just a mention. The full moon in Taurus in the 11th house, it answers to Venus in Libra in your 4th house. And so I see this idea of maybe you donating to charities as well. I see more local just because it's Venus in the 4th house. The other thing I want you to do or consider doing is to go through your home, take inventory, like I said, count your blessings, but take inventory at home and donate things that you no longer need. Okay, so it's like this releasing of material goods that you don't need, that you don't want. Definitely donate things, get rid of things that no longer serve you. Okay, release things. Full moon. Next, we have Venus in Scorpio, November 6th. And I see that it's going through your 5th house. And so I told you, anytime we have 5th house transits, everybody, I do see you feeling yourself more. I do see you feeling a lot more confident. You're taking up space. That could also be it. But there's a lot of self-confidence coming for you. I see a lot of intense energy there, intense energy for passion projects as well. If you're a parent, I see more one-on-one time with your children. The 5th house is funny because it's also gifting. So you might be gifting your kids protective measures. All right, it is Scorpio. So we are talking like, it's ruled by Mars. So you could even be like gifting your kids a weapon. I don't know. Like tasers, pepper spray. This is darker too. But there could also be some animosity between parents. If you are divorced, kids are going from one house to another, there is this weird type of animosity maybe that might come from between parents who are at odds. Maybe some custody issues might pop up depending on who spends time with who. I would just try to work around the routine of the child to just make the most sense of this time. Things will look up if you just kind of make it more based around routine for the child. It's more on the negative side, so sorry. I hope I didn't bring the mood down. But yeah, I have to be honest. So for others, you may benefit by putting your children in more extracurriculars around this time. So I see you trying to give your child like chances, opportunities maybe you didn't get, okay? Maybe opportunities you missed out on. So if they're not really into it, just give it some time until Mercury goes direct around November 29th, because they might just be like, I don't want to do it. And then later they're like, actually, I like it, So give your kids a little more time to kind of enjoy, to really get into to really like spend some time in whatever extracurriculars that you want them to try. Okay. And then for those of you guys who are in the thick of cuffing season, someone may be trying to woo you with some love bombing in order to elicit a wanted reaction. You may be biting off more than you can chew. All right. You might realize that it's like they're baiting you. So they might be, giving you a lot of stuff just to kind of hook you in. I do see Venus square Pluto in Aquarius. So there is this idea of extreme disparities, the haves, the have-nots type of energy. They might be able to do these things for you, but you can't really reciprocate in some ways. And then now you feel like you owe someone something, or they feel like that towards you, even though you didn't see it that way. Because some people have ulterior motives. That's all I'll say. Next, we have Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius, November 9th. And so I see a lot of research, learning. Some of you might even go into hermit mode to study for something. So it could even be, like I said, related to health. But in this terms, it might be maybe you're interested in being a personal trainer. Maybe you want to become a dietitian, maybe a nutritionist, something to do in the realm of health. Okay. Maybe you're studying to take some boards or get a certificate in some type of health. Maybe like you're trying to be a type of educator in this area. You could maybe be making videos about this or doing something on social media as well, where you want to talk about health. So that can also be an aspect too. The other thing I see you doing is like learning something you left on the back burner. And the new moon conjunct Mercury retrograde November 20th. So all these things happening around this time. So I'm going to just go boom, boom, boom through them. But a lot of you guys will probably be releasing any trauma related to shame, or possibly owning a part of your sexuality. The other things I notice is someone's going thrift shopping.
One man's trash, that's another man's come up.
Especially with Mercury retrograde and Venus going through your fifth house. So you buying used goods, maybe to experiment with your aesthetic a little bit more. So you can do that. You're also saving a lot more money if you were to do it, which is very scorpionic, and being resourceful. See that you start to see your past not as a hindrance, but as a source of power. So you see any failures or any failed projects that you have as a learning moment or a stepping stone. Okay. And I say this too, because maybe those were hits to your confidence. And because it is the fifth house, I just see you probably building up your confidence through some upsets. So maybe there was an upset and you start to put it into perspective and you start to look back at it. You start to look back at yourself with some grace. Maybe you wanting to try again at a past opportunity that you talked yourself out of. So definitely go for it. Try again. And then you have Venus conjunct Mercury, November 25th. And so I do see deep conversations with loved ones or potential suitors. You might start really choosing who you want to like maybe move forward with. Okay. The fifth house is not really the serious house. It's more kind of like playing the field house. So you might be a little bit more serious about one person or another, and you might start to concentrate on just speaking to that one person. All right. The other thing I want to mention with Venus conjunct Mercury is background checks.
Before you met him, did you do your background checks?
So background checks, start to really get to know who it is that you're interested in. Okay. So if you are really going to concentrate on one type of person, really get to know them. Make sure that you choose the right person. Make sure that like you check them out.
Is he faithful? Gentleman.
Do a little digging, do your investigations, okay? Because I see you gaining some news, or there might be some secrets about potential suitors that you might learn about, okay? Next, it could be maybe you want to network a little bit more. I see networking with influential people could be an aspect. But yeah, so that's really it. But I would also say, like, before you act on any news or any secrets that you obtain during these transits, I don't want you to necessarily act on them until after the retrograde. So Mercury goes direct November 29th, and it goes direct in Scorpio. So if you are going to do anything, wait till then. Saturn also goes direct November 28th. So you're a lot more supported if you were to do anything, or if you have plans to do them after those planets go direct, okay? And so that's really all I have for you, Cancer. If there's anything you're concerned about, obviously let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. As you guys all know, I am an astrology. So I really definitely want to hear how you're, All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye. Hey, Leos. What's up? All right, so Leos, I see you in your detective era. Before you met him, did you do your background? Because you have your sun, which is the chart ruler. Okay, you are the sun in the 4th house, all right, and it's in Scorpio. So you could also, you could definitely be doing some digging in your family tree. You could be really inspired to look up family secrets, or to learn about your family traditions, really just kind of digging deep with your family or your past or your history, your home. It could even be the foundation of your home. Maybe you want to assess the foundation of your home. It could be that literal. I don't know. But yeah, so that's really kind of most of your month. We'll get very into that later on in the horoscope. I also see you benefiting from throwing stuff out or selling off things you no longer use at your home. Okay, because Scorpio is about resourcefulness. One man's trash is another man's treasure.
One man's trash, that's another man's come up.
So getting rid of some stuff, you can make money off of it. It might be your trash, but it might be someone else's treasure. Venus will be in your 4th house as well, in Scorpio. So you can make some money off of it. You might even be interested in doing a DNA test. Just to learn about yourself, especially regarding your health. You have Jupiter retrograde in Cancer in your 12th house. So there's this idea too about maybe learning about any type of hidden conditions or diseases, or something, maybe there might be a chronic issue that you learn about, and it's in your, because Jupiter is in your 12th house, you might be interested in finding those things out and seeing if maybe you have the gene for it, or it might be something that you could be vulnerable to, or something like that. So I see you looking into that. Your 5th house, we have Sagittarius. So we have Mars and Mercury, and that's going to be from November 4th to the 18th. If you're single, you may be ready to mingle. So you're probably going to be playing the field, okay? And you need to be playing the field. Don't have just one person you're seeing. I want you to have multiple options, okay? Multiple options in love, many backup plans.
Bus, club, another club, plane, next place.
With Mercury retrograde November 9th, you're supposed to play the field. You're not supposed to just put all your eggs in one basket. I want you to go around meeting new people. You might also run into more of your exes around now, because Mercury will be retrograding in your 5th house. And it's really important that you try your best to look good, okay, whenever you go out. And it doesn't have to just be an ex. It could just be someone that maybe was a blow to your confidence, or, you want to seem confident too. So just look your best at all times, especially this month, because I see you running into a lot of people from your past. I also see issues with people standing you up, miscommunications. I would meet in neutral, populated areas, a place with a bar. You can always, have a conversation with someone there, play the field, have a situation where you can, change course if need be. Jupiter retrogrades November 11th. So ghosting can be very apparent, because it's going to be in your 12th house. And if you didn't know, 12th house is the house where people go missing. 12th house is the house of lost things. So I definitely see someone going ghost. I see someone Danny phantoming you, possibly. But another mention is, please remember red flags. Don't let them slide, and do not let people fall through the cracks by ignoring them. Okay, Jupiter in the 12th house. The 12th house is also about ignoring things, or just being delusional, or throwing caution to the wind. So that could be something you're doing. So I need you to, your judgment could also be shit. Jupiter can rule over your judgment. It's the higher brain. So it's kind of Jupiter going retrograde. And Judgment's a little out the door. Judgment's on break. The Judgment's on vacation. So you might let a lot of things slide. If someone crosses your boundaries once, they're going to probably do it again. So just keep all that in mind, okay? I don't want you losing your mind. I want you to keep it in mind, okay? Another thing is, don't agree to any travel suggestions with potentials till after the retrograde, okay? I see a lot of people over-promising things. I see a lot of people like, fake futuring. I think that's what they call it. Future faking, where they tell you one thing and then they take it back, or they plans fall through, promises fall through. I'm telling you, all 12th house things, like things just falling through. Follow the actions. Don't listen to the words that are coming from people's mouths, because it's all just fake. It can be fake. It's a mirage. Other things, these are some really random, very tedious mentions, but just watch your drinks. Don't be too trusting of people. All right. Everything is retrograde. Like literally everything is retrograde. Uranus is retrograde. Saturn is retrograde. Jupiter is retrograde. Mercury is retrograde. Girl, everything is retrograde. Your judgment shit. Your judgment is right. So you need to protect yourself, okay? Especially if you know you're not going to be as vigilant as you want to be. You need to just maybe don't drink. Maybe just don't drink during this transit even. But just be very careful. Another mention I would say is if you are a parent, you may be exposing your child to different cultures for the first time, okay? And I say that because we have Sagittarius in your 5th house. So your 5th house is also your children. So this is a really great time to maybe teach them about things related to your own culture, or to respect other people's cultures too, and exposing them to different cultures and trying new things. All right. Some of you may even be taking your children on a pilgrimage home, or to see relatives and family you haven't seen in a long time. Okay. So they might be seeing them for the first time. I would just make sure all your paperwork is good, that you have all your official documents in order, that you don't lose anything, have designated places you keep them. It is Mercury retrograde, so these are things that you need to be reviewing. Maybe some of them are expiring around this time. Maybe you have to reprocess them, so jump on that sooner rather than later, okay? Also, just be very watchful of your kids in new environments around now, especially when dealing with problematic family members or family dynamics. Especially if they have troubling views or exhibited troubling behavior in the past. So Mercury retrograde, Jupiter retrograde, it's from past experience. So please utilize that past experience to protect your own children. And I want you to be honest and transparent with your children too. Be honest and transparent with your kids and don't hide information. Maybe there is this ongoing pattern of information being hidden from you, especially when you were a kid or in your past, because you have, Scorpio in your 4th house, and we have all these planets going through your 4th house. And so there might be some type of ancestral trauma or some type of generational pattern of maybe adults or your family hiding things from you. There being secrets and you not knowing till the very end. And it's maybe you even repeat cycles because you didn't know in advance of something that was happening in your family. So it's this idea of you breaking a cycle by being honest and transparent with your kids even. So if there is some type of trauma related, and I know a lot of people say oh, I don't want to burden my kids with that, but you'd be surprised how informing your kids empowers them. Informing, I sometimes wish I tell my parents all the time, I wish you had told me earlier, I would have felt more empowered if I had known. You see what I mean? So you don't want to propagate that type of trauma, basically. So definitely, I see you being more honest and transparent with your kids by not hiding things, okay? It can be very healing for you, especially with this new moon in Scorpio. It's going to be conjunct Mercury retrograde November 20th. So it's this idea that by you doing that, it's you're healing that part of yourself that maybe your parents did that to you, and now you get to maybe you decide not to do that with your children, okay? But back to the earlier part of the month, full moon in Taurus, November 5th. It answers to Venus in Libra. I do see you having good things coming to you at your job, okay? So your career might be seeing some improvements. You may be allowed more time to rest. You might gain some more time off. You might even acquire some type of property or asset. some office space, title, tenure, or a position that affords you more material gain or status, okay? Just make sure to ask for something or ask for it leading up to the full moon. Venus answers to your third house. So there's this idea of speaking up and maybe gaining something from speaking up. So that is something that you can kind of get started now at the beginning of November, okay? Next, we have Venus in Scorpio. And I already talked about this a little bit, but there's this idea of maybe power plays, people being a little more secretive with you or your family being secretive, or maybe there's a family secret that comes to light as well. And it's also you looking into your maybe the women or the lineage with your mother as well, with Venus there. So that could be something. Sun goes conjunct Lilith November 18th. And you might come face to face with an issue from your childhood, and you're able to like put it into perspective, and you feel a little stronger for it. So that can be something that happens too. And then we have the new moon conjunct Mercury retrograde November 20th. And so I see family secrets coming to light. I see you researching your family lineage. Maybe you newly learned some old news related to your family members or your parents. Again, DNA testing. It's in my blood. Shawn Mendes. Other things that I would mention is this idea of refinancing home loans. There might be some mortgages you want to refinance, a mortgage you want to refinance. It might be assessing your property value, maybe having the foundation of your home looked at. And you might even want to do some, real estate estimation. I don't even know anything. Just something related to real estate. I'm talking like I know anything about real estate, but I just see maybe you do something related to your home, okay? And it might have to do with like assessing something, okay? Because Scorpio has to do sometimes with like maybe you learn about the value of the home, or you're trying to sell, or you're trying to see how much you can get for something. That could be an aspect. This is a good time to inquire about loans. Also family heirlooms, like you can assess family heirlooms. They can be assessed, especially if you don't want them, you want to get rid of them. But you could see like what they could bring or how much something's worth, just for your own information. Also estate sales. So estate sales, you could find some really good deals at estate sales around now too. Like I said, one man's trash is another man's treasure. And then we have Venus direct in Sagittarius. So like if you were playing the field before in regards to dating, now you get to see people's actions. You get to weed out people. This would be the time, like if you did want to travel or if you did want to go out, like definitely you can probably do that now. All right. Mercury will be direct. Venus will be in Sagittarius. So it's like a good, nice opportunity to date again. But now it goes a little easier and things are in your favor a little bit more. So may the odds ever be in your favor. That's all I would say. So that's all I have for you, Leo. Let me know down in the comments what you're most worried about for November this month. Maybe I can help you down there. But that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know how your month goes. As you know, I am in astrology. Ho, ho, ho! So I would love to hear about your month. All right. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye. Hey Virgos, how are you? So let's get into your horoscope for November. I see that, I heard a song for you guys. It's so random. I don't even know if this will resonate with you guys, but I heard the song, Should I Stay or Should I Go? And sorry, my camera, I hit it. But some of you guys are like rethinking your living situations or are making plans to like travel or leave or do something. I don't know. But I see this idea that, I just knocked this over. Okay. I see this idea that like, I don't know. I just see this idea with Sagittarius is in your fourth house and we have Mercury retrograding there. We have Mars there. So there's a lot of movement going on at home, or you wanting to move your home, like you wanting to leave or something. The ruler of Sagittarius is Jupiter. Okay, and Jupiter is going to be in your 11th house because it's in Cancer. It goes retrograde in Cancer in your 11th house as well. November 11th. So I get this idea that maybe like friends or people in your circle or your network, they might be hyping up their own situations, or you might be getting FOMO from how maybe they are better off than you, or you think they're better off, or they're making it seem as if things are going really well for them, and you're just kind of like, oh, I'm stuck here. I don't like it. I want to leave. I want something more exciting for my life. Or like, I don't know. I just feel like there's this, you're also comparing yourself to people. You're comparing yourself to others in your social circle. It is keeping up with the Joneses, basically, okay? But I see you getting a lot of FOMO, like fear of missing out, okay? I just don't want you to be too hasty to make decisions like that based off of that, okay? I want you to like really weigh out benefits, pros, cons, try to make things work in the meantime. Retrogrades are never a good time to do anything, especially since your chart ruler is Mercury. It's going retrograde. This is not a time for you to really be making these huge plans. You can be working through your options, but I do want you to know, if you were to make like a change around now, there's going to be a very steep learning curve or a very, very steep adjustment period. So I wouldn't make any drastic changes regarding your home life right now. All right. Like maybe if you're doing renovations, that's supported, that kind of stuff, but like completely uprooting, I don't know. I don't know about all that, okay? So I don't want you to sink your funds into any permanent decisions just yet, okay? Just wait until after the retrogrades. They stop November 30th. The only retrograde that will be continuing on is Jupiter retrograding till March 2026, okay? Jupiter is also the planet of like travel and expansion. But yeah. So honestly, if you want to wait till then, you can, but at least wait until Mercury goes direct, and that's after November 29th, 30th, okay? But yeah, I just don't want you to regret it. I want you to save up around now. We did just have last month's horoscopes, and I did tell you guys to save up, okay? And that you were going to be making bank. So continue doing that, or at least using those funds for something else. I see a lot of home projects at this time, or you may be cooking food or doing a lot of projects at home. Like I see a lot of you guys cooking food from your culture, or trying to get like recipes from your family and cooking foods that maybe you haven't eaten in years. And so it's like you taking a walk down memory lane, basically, right? And being transported back to home, okay? Especially if you're very far from home. I get this idea that you might be very far from home as well. Just you very well may be far away from home, and maybe you can't go home. Maybe you do celebrate the holidays around now. Maybe you do celebrate Christmas or Thanksgiving or something like that, and you can't go home or you can't be home. So the next best thing is maybe to like eat the foods from your culture, okay? So that might be an aspect. But yeah, if you did want to travel, that would be supported. That's fine. Because if the only type of travel that I would say that would go really well is like traveling back to a place that you've been before. I think that's perfect, okay? That's the type of energy that would be supported in a retrograde, because you're returning somewhere, okay? It's like a pilgrimage home. Okay, now we have the full moon in Taurus, November 5th. It answers to Venus in Libra in the second house. So I want you to save your money, as money will afford you time. And I feel like that's what you need. You need time and access to better options for your future. So that's what I would save your money for. I want you to secure the bag or spend as little money as possible to give yourself time and space to figure things out. If there's some option that gives you time, choose that option. If there's another option that gives you more options, choose that option. So that's kind of what I would tell you how to navigate this transit. I wouldn't throw all your eggs in one basket for something. Okay? Just don't do that. Kind of already talked about this, but Mercury retrograde is November 9th. So I see like remodeling. You might be shifting things around your home. I would look into feng shui. Look into feng shui to refresh the energy in your home or your house, okay? You might want to be smudging. You might want to exorcise demons from your house. But yeah, exorcise any bad energy you have. It'll help you think more clearly too. And you're going to need that because Mercury is retrograding and Mercury is answering to Jupiter retrograde. I've told Leos this already, but like I'm telling you, everybody's judgment is shit. Everyone's judgment is going to be shit right now because Jupiter rules over the higher mind. Jupiter rules over, like, I would say like the prefrontal cortex, basically, like your higher mind, the part of you that plans for the future and that sees the big picture of things. That type of thinking is like crappy right now. And we're not thinking as clearly as we should. Okay. It's a little foggy. So, I just want you to, you might need to do some home cleansing just to clear out any type of stagnant energy at home. Okay. Next, we have Mercury retrograding November 19th, and that's going to be moving through your third house. Okay. So it went from your fourth into your third. Okay, so I'm going to see you seeing people from your past pop up a lot more during this transit in your day-to-day, in your community, in your near surroundings. You might see that. If they're exes, look your best. Look your best regardless, but especially since the exes can be on the prowl right now. So you need to like keep it tight, okay? This might be people you've had close relationships with. They could be unsavory people, maybe people who, you've bumped heads with in the past. So it could be a bunch of different people, but it's going to be usually people you've had maybe a very close relationship with, people that you might have deep conversations with in the past, or it depends on what type of relationship it was, but maybe you met someone in passing, you had a really good conversation with them, it went very deep, and maybe you were able to reconnect again because you see them again, so it might be pleasant. For others, it might be like an unsavory person, it might be someone you don't want to see, they might pop up again. I just think this also would be a good time. This would also be a good time to get like psychic readings, occult readings from people you've been to in the past, so that would be cool. I would also, because Mercury is in the third house, retrograde, I would also avoid sinking lots of money into tech, okay? Because they're going to be duds. Make sure to try backing up as much of your files as possible around now before Mercury hits your third house, like I said, November 19th, because what you can see is permanent death to data with Mercury in Scorpio here. So just try to back up as much as you can before then, okay? Other things I want to mention, so we're going to have the new moon conjunct Mercury retrograde November 20th. So like I said, you might reconnect with people from the past, and this would be a good time to travel for reunions with people to places you've been to in the past, okay? So you could, maybe this is like reunion with friends from like, primary school, things like that. So it's like returning, maybe you might be seeing like cousins or a sibling or something like that. So this would be a really great time to have like traveler reunions to see loved ones, okay? And friends. Other things I see for you also is like maybe you finding new ways to express yourself or communicate with others. You might even receive compensation for your ideas, thoughts, or your opinions. Venus goes conjunct Mercury November 25th. And so I can see maybe, I don't know if maybe you do freelance work or something like that. Maybe you have a divisive opinion and you share it somehow, whether it's through social media or through print or something like that, and it does very well and you receive compensation, okay? Other things I want you to know is that this is also a really good transit, especially with this new moon conjunct the retrograde. This is a really good transit for healing disagreements or arguments or airing out old grudges and like settling the score with like maybe siblings, loved ones, friends, family, like just, burying the hatchet. So that could also be something, and starting new with them. So clearing the air. So that could be something that you do too. And then Saturn goes direct in Pisces November 28th, and Mercury goes direct in Scorpio November 29th. So this is a time for projects to move forward a lot more constructively. I do see, again, this settling grudges. I see that your insight is a lot more clear around now. You're a lot more resolute about any decisions that you make. And whatever was making you unsure should be a lot more clear now. So like, I would definitely hold off on decision making until November 30th, okay? I would also listen and pay attention to signs that you get during your day-to-day, because Mercury is going to go retrograde in your third house, and Mercury is going to be in your third house. So there's going to be lots of signs and synchronicities. We did talk about the occult too, and just like spirituality, but that's also going to be something you want to be listening in on during the month of November, okay? But that's really it. That's all I have for you. Let me know how your month goes. Let me know in the comments if there's something you're really worried about for the month of November. I can see if I can help you with that down below. But that's really all I have for you. As you all know, I'm an astrology. So I want to know how you're doing. All right. So I'll talk to you guys later. Bye. Okay. Hey Libras, so let's talk about your month for November. I'm going to start off for the first half with Mars and Mercury in Sagittarius. So they're going through your third house, okay? So November 4th to November 18th. So I see your career is on your mind a lot, with Mercury and Mars all answering to your 10th house of career, okay? Your 10th house is Cancer. So you have Jupiter in Cancer in your 10th house, okay? And Jupiter rules over Sagittarius. So everything in your third house is answering to that house. So I just see you being very concerned with networking for more opportunities. This would be a really good time for you to collect references or to reconnect with people that you're on good terms with, okay? To reinforce those relationships, reinforce those partnerships, and reinforce basically those connections to make sure that you get a good recommendation out of them, or that you're on good terms with them, so that if they do receive a call, they give you a good word, okay? They put a good word in for you, basically, all right? I think they'll help you a lot with any career prospects that you have. So that could be something you're doing. The other thing I'll mention is Jupiter does go retrograde November 11th. So this can indicate maybe help from higher ups, or there could be changes or some lapses or gaps in leadership around this time. So Jupiter retrograde. So when Jupiter kind of goes retrograde, it could be someone maybe in a position of power taking a step back. So maybe you got to step up to the plate. Maybe there is a mantle change. Maybe like you end up taking on a role, or you need to step up. So that could be taking place. You might have to take on a temporary leadership role in a team, or a temporary leadership role in the interim while someone has to take a step back or step away. So that can be something that may be coming for you. So you may have to learn or train or review material on something soon, okay? It's also a good time to try again in your career for something that maybe you were turned down for before. So Jupiter going retrograde in your 10th house, it could also be like try again. You might notice an opportunity comes back around again with Jupiter retrograde in the 10th. So that would be a good time to try your hand at it, to see if you have a better chance of getting it now. Maybe you have more experience now. So that can also be it. So we have the full moon in Taurus, and it's going to be in your 8th house, and that's going to be happening November 5th, and it's going to answer to Venus in your 1st in Libra. So I feel like you may get back something you lost, or someone pays you back what you're owed, okay? And this can indicate material gain that benefits you. So I see maybe a payout, or there's like a lump sum, or you'll have to let me know what that could be. I don't know. So let me know in the comments whatever that might be, or whatever you're expecting. But it could be some type of payout or lump sum, or you get some type of money coming to you, okay? The 8th house is the house of debt or shared resources, or like money from like banks or lending, things like that. So there's this idea of getting money back, okay? Because it's reflecting back to your 1st house, which is you, okay? Next, I want to say is there's this idea of a scarcity mindset being at play for you, because the 8th house is also the house of fear. So with Taurus in your 8th house, there might be this idea of you releasing fear related to money. With that full moon there, maybe money coming to you, or you getting back some money. It's kind of a fresh new start with clean slate that comes for you. It heals a scarcity mindset you have. But there's this idea of you releasing fear related to holding on to money or something like that. So I would really recommend you to practice gratitude for the things that you do have, and don't let fear or lack of resources or security rush you into making risky decisions. It could even be that maybe a risky decision got you into a situation to begin with. You start to learn how to manage your money a lot better, okay? And this full moon kind of shows you like, oh, I'm in a much better place now to take care of any type of emergent issues that come up, okay? So it's kind of like maybe a situation happens like this and you have the funds to take care of it, okay? And it's like, oh, I'm not the same person I was from before, okay? And you're able to like use the money properly in that way, okay? Next, I see Venus in Scorpio, and it's going to be in your second house, November 6th. So this can indicate a change in your money streams. This can also relate to a change in the pay rate that you have for the month of November, especially with the new moon coming with November 20th. This can indicate like your partner, maybe their financial status is changing too. So it could be good or it could be bad. But I would say be very careful with like financial enmeshment and getting too dependent on finances from a loved one. Just be careful with that, or even funding others, you know, like maybe paying for people and stuff like that, that you might be doing a lot of that. You might be doing too much of that. So just be careful. I would also mention, let's just really quickly go back to your third house. So Mercury in Sagittarius goes retrograde into your third house November 9th, okay? And I want you to just be very careful driving. I want you to check your engine lights, get your oil changed, check your tires. So do this before the retrograde. Okay, so November 9th is the retrograde. Remember this. This is super important for you guys. So go check your car out. Do the full, go to the shop, do all that you can, get your tires pumped, get your oil changed, do all of this as much as you can before the retrograde starts, okay? Because this is especially important for you because you're going to have Mercury retrograde in your third house, and third house rules over transportation, okay? So this is going to really affect you, especially your car, okay? Whatever you use to have small trips and whatnot, okay? I want you to also do an inventory of your car, like make sure everything is in working order before you travel anywhere. Like literally before you, like when you go out to your car, look at your tires before you get in it to go drive anywhere. So do these little things. Check the night before, make sure you check your gas. Like, do you have enough gas? Things like that. Be careful with your keys. Like make sure you always have your keys, things like that. Your technology, make sure you keep them on you at all times, like your phone, your things like that. It can be this idea of maybe you leave it in your back pocket, pickpocketers, things like that can come into play. You might lose your phone that way. So there's these little things like tech, your car, transportation. These are all third house stuff, okay? Make sure you don't engage in road rage with people. You have Mars in your third house too. So there might be people who are a little more antagonistic to you on the road. So don't engage in it. Do not. You just don't know if people are packing. You really don't know. Make sure to back up important documents as well, especially at work. Okay, especially at work. Because remember we talked about it. It answers to Jupiter in your 10th house, and Jupiter's going retrograde. Okay, so you don't want to lose any important documents at work. The other thing I would mention with that is back up important documents. There's this idea that like your computer might overheat or something might happen with technology where it overheats, okay? Because Sagittarius is a fire sign as well, okay? Just don't rush into buying tech. Don't be impulsive by buying technology around this time. If you can help it, please wait until November 30th or wait until after the retrograde. This is going to be a random thing, but I even recommend, like, if you're going to buy technology, if you must, I would buy it used. Like, I would buy used stuff. I think that's actually kind of supported during retrogrades. Like, buying things cheaper and buying things that have shown, like, refurbished. Okay, that's something I would do. I don't know if I would buy new things during a retrograde. I'd probably buy refurbished because they have a proven track record. Okay, and also they're cheaper. You could get a really good deal. Next, I would definitely say that with the new moon conjunct Mercury retrograde, November 20th. And also, I forgot to mention, Sun is going to go conjunct Lilith November 18th. Really random, but have some money saved up for yourself so that no one else can access. Okay, that's just a random aside, but just have your own stash. Like, I even see you maybe making a bank account for yourself, having a singular bank account. Like, you might have a joint bank account. That might be what happens with Venus. Venus goes conjunct Mercury November 25th, but you might have a joint bank account. But there's also this idea with Sun conjunct Lilith, have a bank account for yourself, okay? Make sure that that's squared away, or you can have an emergency fund. That's also another aspect, having an emergency fund for yourself. Goodness forbid something were to happen, okay? But yeah, so for the new moon conjunct Mercury retrograde, November 20th, you could be experiencing a raise, or there might be an extreme level up regarding your finances taking place, especially if there's like any leadership change at your job. I want you to take advantage of any pay scales, leverage your experience, do all that good stuff. Venus conjunct Mercury, November 25th. It's a good time to have money conversations, review your finances. You could do that. Saturn goes direct November 28th, and then Mercury goes direct November 29th, okay? And Venus goes direct November 30th. So you'll most likely hear favorable news related to your career around then, okay? It can also indicate like travel news or possibly travel advisories being lifted. So I don't know if that's going to affect you. Maybe it will, since it's in your third house. But, since Sagittarius is in your third house, but that's just a random aside, okay? So that's all I have for you, Libras. Let me know how your month goes. If there's something you're worried about for November, just, let me know in the comments. Maybe I can help you. But that's really all I have. So I would love to hear, if you want to come back and let me know, I'd love to hear. As you all know, I'm an astrology. So I will be here. All right. But I will talk to you guys later. That's all I have. Bye. Hey Scorpios, so let's get into the month of November horoscopes for you guys. So I'm going to talk about your second house first, okay? And the reason why is because you have Mercury and Mars moving through your second house for the first half of the month, okay? So from November 4th to November 18th, we're going to see a lot of energy being put into money, okay? You might be very motivated to make money, okay? The second house is your money house.
All right, we going. What a money reside, what a money reside, what a money reside, what a money reside.
Your mind is going on and on about money, how to make money, what to do with your money, possibly. But you're very motivated there, okay? And I also see, I heard that song, got my money, got my mind on my money and my money on my mind. That's like what I'm hearing in my head, right? But I feel like your mindset around money could be shifting, okay? You might also be exploring how to change your money-making potential. And I see maybe an abundance mindset setting in right now. So this will be a very healing month for you regarding your material gain, okay? And security and wealth. So next is Jupiter retrogrades on 11/11 in the 9th house, okay? So November 11th in the 9th house. And so I see you having a lot of ideas come to you and come to mind regarding wealth and how to source abundance, okay? I want you to pay attention to synchronicities, listen to any signs that come up around this time. They're going to all point you on how to create more abundance for yourself, okay? And also someone may help you realize your money-making potential. And I see in business, if you do have a business, sales will do really well. They'll be very blessed because you do have the full moon in your 7th house, okay? So the full moon is going to be November 5th, and that's going to answer to Venus in Libra in your 12th house, okay? So that could also indicate that you might be releasing or ending some type of relationship, some type of contract. There might be even a business asset that you're letting go of for the best. It might afford you more in the long run or something. Like maybe you let go or you liquidate something, and it allows you to create maybe more opportunities or to put money down for something more important down the line, okay? So that could be something that happens. Another thing is maybe there's some type of cycle that you are closing karmically, keeping you blocked financially. So maybe you're releasing a financial blockage. You might even be doing maybe a road opener spell or something like that related to your finances. So that might even be something you want to do with the full moon in your 7th house answering to Venus in the 12th. You might be doing money rituals or something like that. So this would be a really good transit for it. Next, we have Venus moving into your 1st house. And so Venus will be in Scorpio November 6th. And I see money will be on your mind constantly, okay, with Venus in your 1st house. And that's why I said, like, again, you have a lot of money making potential around this time, and Mars is in your 2nd house. So there's definitely a lot of energy being put into this house for you, okay? I also see you probably saving a lot of money by thrifting. Okay, so it could be anything. It could be clothes, anything refurbished, anything like that. I see you getting a lot of bang for your buck if you did want to thrift or if you did want to buy things used. All right, because Mercury retrograde is going to be transiting your 1st and your 2nd house. So these are some really, like, I wouldn't buy technology during Mercury retrogrades. It's just something I wouldn't do. And if you do, keep your receipts. But a really good one would be to buy refurbished items because they have at least a track record, okay? And sometimes warranty related to them. Like if you get a dud, you can definitely get it, even get a new one or get something replaced or whatever, okay? If you must buy goods, buy them used. So I would say is with Mercury in Sagittarius, it's going to go retrograde November 9th. And this is you revising your ideas around money and how to source it. So you might be interested in like self-help books, maybe related to business. You might be interested in self-help books about how to clear money blockages for you, even subconsciously as well. You may really want to heal any financial blockages even passed down from your family. Like maybe your family had issues with money and you just want to learn more about how to source it, and you don't want to continue patterns that from your family that has been passed down. So that could also be something too. It's like you're basically trying to change your attitudes towards money. I also see you diversifying your income streams and you researching new avenues related to maybe having different incomes here, different incomes there, and maybe how to manage and juggle all of that. So with the new moon going conjunct Mercury retrograde November 20th, you might be interested in changing your look or experimenting with a different aesthetic, okay? So Mercury retrograde around that time is going to be going through your 1st house. Do not make any cosmetic changes right now. With Mercury retrograde in your 1st house, don't make any cosmetic changes that are permanent, all right? Because Mercury is mercurial and it's just not a good idea to do that, all right? I'll get more into that a little bit later. But I see a lot of you guys really interested in transforming somehow, like look-wise. So that could also be like maybe you're trying to change your appearance with health, all right? And 2nd house also does speak to your diet. So it could also indicate like what you're ingesting and what you're nourishing your body with. So you could also either be restricting your diet a little bit more around now. You could also be changing your diet and making it more diverse because your 2nd house is ruled by Sagittarius and it's ruled by Jupiter in Cancer. And so you could be changing your diet or experimenting how certain foods make you feel. So I definitely see you exploring different like cuisines because Jupiter, your 2nd house is answering to Jupiter in the 9th house, right? In Cancer. So I see you experimenting with different foods, seeing how they make you feel. You might even be substituting different foods, and you might find that maybe a different culture has a certain food or a certain type of maybe like cuisine that you tolerate a lot better and you start feeling a lot healthier, Or like, for example, like certain cultures have a lot more fermented foods, and maybe this is going to be really good for your gut. Other cultures maybe maybe incorporate less meat, right? So you start to eat that diet a little bit more. So you start to explore more cuisines and foods that basically it might be healthier for you. It might be more tailored to what you can tolerate. So I definitely see you maybe even researching, like, how can I change my diet in such a way that I still get what I need, but I get to enjoy it at the same time, right? So maybe you start to see some physical changes with that, because you will be having you have the stellium in your first house. You have the sun, Venus, Mercury at some point retrograding back there again. And you did just finish up with Scorpio, Mars and Scorpio in your first house too. So there's this idea that your physical body could be changing. Maybe your skin's going to clear up. Well, Venus is in your first house. Your skin's going to clear up, all that kind of stuff. So like I mentioned, like there could be some things that came up during October and before, and you start to link it to maybe your diet, or you start to link it to what you're putting in your body or something. But there's some type of self-improvement going on here, okay? I also feel like you're considering how your self-worth is also tied to your money making and your money making potential. So maybe this is a time where you start to feel better about yourself. You start to feel a little bit more control with how you are directing your life. Like you start to feel more like in the driver's seat, like things are going your way a little bit more. And so you start to really take pride in yourself. You really start to take pride in, you start to take up more space, and you start to realize, like, I can change my life. I have agency. I have autonomy. And because of this, it starts to relate to other areas of your life, hence your money house. And you're like, you know what? I'm worth much more. I can make more money. I shouldn't have to settle for this. And so I see you being very empowered during this transit and during this month. Okay. This is a great time as well to work on public speaking, and your conversational skills. So maybe you want to take an improv class, or maybe you want to take you might want to explore your oratory skills and how to reach, maybe like how to speak a little better, or maybe get rid of nerves related to speaking to others. But there's this idea of self-improvement and refining yourself, okay? There's this emphasis on self-improvement, okay? And it's a good time to work on anything related to improving yourself and refining things, or polishing things up, especially with things you've struggled with in the past, okay? And you're going to be having the new moon in your first house, so this speaks to that even more. So I would say, like, with the new moon conjunct Mercury retrograde, that's kind of what I'm speaking to. It's this idea of improving yourself, or going back and fixing things that, you're not happy with. You could do better, and you feel like it could be better. Okay. Very random aside, but I would definitely watch for any type of financial, any emergent financial issues, like have some money saved up, because around the new moon, both the new moon and the full moon, there is Mercury opposing Uranus. And so there's this idea of like maybe some financial things coming to light, and you need to have some money saved up for it. So I say that for everyone. That's just an idea. And I did mention there's a theme with this full moon about how to make a dollar stretch, being very resourceful for the money you do have and being grateful for what you do have. Okay. So be very resourceful this month. That's why I mentioned the whole thrifting thing. You can really make money stretch around this time during Scorpio season. It's the sign of resourcefulness. Okay. So to end this and to finish it up, I will say too, so I mentioned Venus going conjunct Mercury. That'll be November 25th. And like I said, don't make any cosmetic changes right now that are permanent. Just don't. Like, you can look into, maybe you have some options you want to go into. Maybe you want to try some different looks, just as long as they are They're not permanent, and there's just things you want to try on, try new things, try different looks, be a little experimental. That's completely blessed around this time. Just don't make any permanent changes because Mercury is retrograde. You will not like them. You won't like any of those changes, okay? Like I wouldn't cut my hair. I wouldn't get myself bangs. I really wouldn't even dye my hair, really. I wouldn't even do that, okay? It just might not work out because you get mercurial results anytime you have Mercury here in the first house, okay? Last I would say is we do have Saturn going direct in Pisces November 28th. We have Mercury going direct in Scorpio November 29th. And we also have Venus entering your second house November 30th in Sagittarius. So if you do have any plans or anything that you want to really push forward, I would definitely do them after the retrograde, okay? And I feel they'll be a lot more supported and they'll go a lot more smoothly and easily around now. Okay, so that's all I have for you, Scorpios. Please let me know how your month goes. Of course, you know I'm an astrology. So I want to hear from you, and you can let me know down in the comments maybe what you're worried about this month. Maybe I can help you out there. But other than that, like, let me know what you're excited about too. And yeah, that's it. That's all I have for you, Scorpios. See you. Bye. Hey Sagittarius, how are you? All right, so Sagittarius, I have your November horoscopes here. So it's very exciting for you. You guys have Mercury and Mars in Sagittarius entering your first house, and that's going to be November 4th to November 18th. So expect a power surge of energy and to get things done, okay? However, it might be short-lived. It might be short-lived. And the reason why I say it's short-lived is because Mercury is going to go retrograde November 9th, okay? And Jupiter is going to go retrograde November 11th. So there's this idea of taking a step back. There's this idea of your chart ruler, it wants to rest. It wants to rethink things. It wants to, you know, it wants to go into hermit mode. So it could be you going into hermit mode. You might have really exerted too much energy around this time. There's this idea of burnout, especially with Mars in the first house. So you might start off very strong and then you kind of feel a little like, tired towards the middle part of November. Okay. So for the first quarter of the month, I feel that you'll feel more expansive. You'll feel more excited to pursue your interests intensely. It can lead to burnout, so just be careful. Do not overpromise, especially for the first half of November. There's this idea that you might overdo things and you might overpromise and you might tell people you're going to do this or you're going to do that, or you basically have too many expectations for yourself. But I would say chill, like tone it down a little bit more, okay? Do not overpromise things and don't commit, because I don't think you'll be able to keep those promises, to be honest with you, okay? Other things that I would say is you will be more focused on your mental health, okay? You'll be more focused on your mental health and the past. You'll be feeling a lot more nostalgic around this time because your chart ruler is in Cancer and it's going retrograde. So it's definitely a walk down memory lane. Be careful not to have rose-colored glasses on too much, okay? I know that's your thing, that's your shtick, but the rose-colored glasses need to come off. A lot of you guys are thinking very fondly of the past, you're romanticizing it, and I think that there's a lot of lessons to be learned from the past, and it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows, and you need to be aware of that, because I don't want you to repeat patterns from the past or to get too stuck in the past that you forget your future. I can't believe I'm telling a Sagittarius that. Like, Sagittarius, that's all they do. Big picture, think the future, think of the possibilities. But for now, I feel like you're going to be very bogged down in the past for some reason. And so I think that you're going to be very short-sighted about what the future holds. You might even be diverted from your path. This is like completely, I'm going off track here, but you might even be completely diverted from your path because Jupiter's going retrograde, and it kind of feels like you're going off the path a little bit, off the beaten path a little bit, but wow, okay, so ding. But you might basically be going down one line and you had a plan, you had a goal, and then maybe something diverts you. Maybe like I said, you're being very nostalgic, or you're thinking about something, or maybe something happens and you're just kind of like, you know what, it wouldn't be so bad to settle here. Or, you know what, I'm tired, I don't really want to go for that anymore. Or you might even be like, you just might be distracted. I see you being distracted, and then you don't go big. You just kind of stay settled. You're like, this is good. This is fine. You know, which is okay for the time being. I just feel that there's still work to be done. There's still some work to be done. And I think you might lose sight of the bigger picture around now. So I want you to keep your eyes on the prize. There's more work to do. Obviously, modify it and manage your expectations. But you should be making little steps towards it. You shouldn't forget your dream or your goal altogether. I think it's still good to kind of think about it, and to maybe there's some caveats to this dream or this goal you have, but I don't want you to throw it away, okay? Or throw away all the work and the progress that you've made towards whatever goal that is, okay? So Jupiter retrogrades November 11th, and Mars and Mercury in the first house, it answers to your 8th house with Jupiter and Cancer in the 8th. Okay. So this could also indicate that you might be noticing generational or familial patterns. You might find yourself in similar situations to your family, and you need to work through how to break the cycle. Okay. So that's where this whole Jupiter retrograde comes into. I think sometimes we might be very short-sighted. So we might find ourselves in situations that our family have been in before. And it's kind of like you don't even realize it until you're like in the situation and you're like, oh, I get it now. I understand. I see. So these types of, you might find yourselves coincidentally in those situations, and then you start to see the pattern and then you break yourself out of it. Okay. So this could also indicate that you're cleaning up issues related to your debt. So you might be cleaning up issues related to your debt, or there might be some financial obligations that you have to deal with. This could even be inherited familial obligations or financial obligations. So you might have to deal with maybe the sins of the father, okay, with Jupiter in Cancer in the 8th house. So maybe there has been debt passed down. Maybe there has been issues. Maybe you have to help a family member out around this time. Maybe there is a family member in need around this time, and you feel like you have to help out, right? I would just be careful to, obviously family is family, and if you love your family, you're going to help them. I would just make sure that you don't put yourself out in the process of helping someone out. So just be careful, because you don't want to be drained financially as well. Jupiter retrograde in the 8th house. Jupiter retrograde in the 8th house can indicate your resources being drained, okay? Or like, it's like a wave, like receding. Like basically you might have a swell of money and then it kind of recedes. So you don't have as much money as you did before because you kind of put all of it or invested all of it into family members. Okay, so I just want you to be very mindful and very careful to avoid something like that, okay? Or see how you can manage that. Maybe you need to do a little damage control there, okay? Next, we have the 6th and the 12th house being lit up, okay? So this is a very health-minded period for you. The 6th and the 12th house are going to be lit up for you, so this is definitely a health-minded month as well. The full moon in Taurus is going to be in the 6th house, and that's going to be November 5th, and it's going to answer to Venus in Libra in the 11th, okay? So this could be revealing a health concern that you're able to either catch early or ensure better health outcomes for yourself in the future, right? So when you catch it early, then you can treat it quickly, fast. You don't have to ever deal with it again. Or maybe you learn about something and you can manage it better because it's in the early stages, and you're not and if it's a degenerative type of thing, basically it hasn't like proceeded so far that it becomes advanced stage or something like that. But I see basically a really good health prognosis for you. So make sure you do keep your appointments, you do get checked out, and you take these things seriously, okay? At the first sign of anything that were to pop up. The new moon, it's going to be conjunct Mercury retrograde, and that's going to be November 20th. And so, as I mentioned earlier, I see you doing a lot of inner work to come to terms with either unconscious behaviors or coming to terms with how you handled past events and circumstances. So that can relate back to what I mentioned to you guys about maybe familial obligations, money situations, debt situations, financial obligations, things like that. It could also indicate if a situation is taking place again, you vow to act differently with the new moon conjunct Mercury retrograde. So you just act differently to a similar situation, okay? And that could mean maybe past trauma coming to the forefront. The new moon is going to be in your 12th house. So it's kind of like things coming back up to the surface and you having to deal with it and confront it, even though you might be scared to. The last thing I want to say is this is a very random aside, but I would just secure your household very well and keep your personal belongings well guarded. I don't know, what's going on at home or that type of thing, but I just got this idea. I'm trying to think of why I said that. Why did I say that? The reason why I say that is because Mars is in your 12th and then Mercury will be in your 12th house and it answers to Jupiter in your 8th. And so there is this idea of your belongings. I don't know. There's this idea of I just don't want there to be a loss or some type of hidden attack on your belongings or something like that. So I would just be very mindful to have a well-guarded home or household. It could also indicate identity theft as well. So just be very careful with what you have. You might even realize that you're vulnerable in these areas. And it could even relate to family. Maybe family might target you in some way. I hope not. I really hope not. But there's something to do with protecting your personal belongings, okay? Next, we have Venus conjunct Mercury, November 25th. And I literally wrote, do not go back to your ex. So it can indicate a past connection coming back to reach out or potentially destabilize you. All right. We do have during the new moon, Mercury is going to be opposite Uranus. You need to be especially careful with someone coming back, okay? Also, Venus conjunct Mercury and Mercury is retrograde as well. Do not go back to your ex. I feel like they can definitely be coming back to mess with you or to just destabilize your life, see where you are and then just ruin it. So I get that very strongly as well. And that's your 12th house. They're up to no good. They are literally up to no good. I can promise you that it is the 12th house. Do not go back. Mercury goes direct in Scorpio November 29th. So that's when you're safe. Okay. That's when you're safe. But Mercury will still be in your 12th house. So you're really not. Just still be careful. Be very careful of romantic relationships coming back during this time. I don't trust any romantic relationships in the 12th house. I'm just going to be so real with you. I just don't. I don't trust them. Sometimes if they're the way it works out and it the energy speaks to it, I'm fine with it. But for most people, no. Okay. That is a very broad statement to make, but it's a case by case basis. But for the most part, nah, I don't like it. Next, I would say is Venus does enter Sagittarius November 30th, and you can expect new love, opportunities, and free stuff. Okay, so that's really it. We can get into that later in December, so don't worry. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you heed my warnings. I think you'll be fine. Let me know down in the comments what you're most worried about for November. As you all know, I'm in astrology, so I want to know and I want to hear. But I'll let you guys go. That's all I have for you. Bye. Hey Capricorns, it's Astroteatime. All right, so let's get into your November horoscopes. I see a strong theme of justice for you at play. I see justice for your family. I see justice for your loved ones. I see justice for everybody.
Everybody in the audience, now listen to me carefully, is being given a special package, and I don't want you to open it. Do not open it. Cameras are on you. All right, open your boxes. Open your boxes. 1, 2, 3. You get a call.
especially you. I don't know why I see this. Ooh, I remember. Okay, so I'm going to be honest with you guys. You're the only ones who are getting the tea on my life right now, but I wanted to share with you guys. I've been feeling really burnt out. So I've been feeling really burnt out, and while I was writing these horoscopes, I started to get a little fatigued towards the end of it. I mean, hello, like if you're writing 12 horoscopes, you're like tired. And so I was like, oh, I'm tired. And so you know what I ended up doing? I ended up pulling some cards for you. And one of the cards I got was Justice. And girl, I was pulling so many major arcana for y'all. So you guys are going through a lot of like major themes in your life. Like there are some really major things happening. Like I felt like there was some really major themes going on for you, but like Justice came up. You got the Emperor, I got the Magician, I got like, girl, I got the World card. There were so many, everything was major arcana. All your cards were major arcana. So that was a very interesting thing. But yeah, so I pulled some cards for you guys and I got a really clear message for you. So that's just an aside. Okay? But anyways, what we do have is in your 12th house, you're going to have Mars and Mercury and Sagittarius moving through it. And there could be a lot of things you're juggling. They could be up in the air and you're not really sure how they're going to play out. And so I see you a little stressed because you're very uncertain about how all of this is going to work out. And anytime someone has like a Jupiter ruled 12th house, I'm going to be real with you, everything has to go to shit before it can get better. Okay. That's just the way things work. I mean, I get how you're worried, but just know that the air will be cleared soon and something will work out in your favor. Like I 100% see that for you. Okay. The other thing I saw with this 12th house, energy going on for you is I see you doing a lot of like behind the scenes things. So you could be manifesting, you could be maybe doing affirmations. You could really be leaning into your spirituality. You could be praying more. You could even be doing spell work even. You could be doing stuff like that. And I just see you very motivated to make your hopes and your dreams a reality. Okay. And then with that, there's a Scorpio stellium in your 11th house. So you have the Sun, Venus, eventually Mercury as well, going through your 11th house. And so there's a lot of emphasis again on the occult. So I really do see you maybe trying your hand at doing those types of things. Okay. Jupiter retrogrades November 11th in your 7th house. And so your 12th answers to your 7th. So this can indicate legal matters and relationships. They can be romantic or business related, but I do see them coming back to the forefront. All right. And it could be a blessed coincidence with the return of one of these relationships. Okay. It could be positive collaborations. They could be on the horizon. You could attract sponsors or donors around this time easily. So reach out, especially if you were turned down or you were ignored before they didn't respond or something. Reach out again. Okay. Try again. Just an aside. But like if you are into social media or if you are into that type of business or publicity or something like that, definitely a great time to do fundraising or to gain money from others. Okay. You have an 11th house ruled by Scorpio. So this is other people's money, other people's resources. So you can easily crowdsource that or you can easily gain it from others. Very powerful people can give you money around this time. Okay. Especially people you've worked with before or trying your hand at working with people that you haven't yet, but you reach out again. You might get an answer this time around. Okay. The full moon is going to be in Taurus November 5th, and it's going to be in your 5th house, and it answers to Venus in Libra in the 10th. And so this is a very nice full moon for you, especially with your career and your home life. Okay. I see you spending time with family, friends, or celebrating some time or type of gathering around this time with them. And I also see you treating yourself to some time off or you getting some good food. I don't know. But basically, it's a really good time. The only bad aspect that I see with the full moon is Mercury opposite Uranus. And then so for you, that's the 12th house into the 6th. So you very well might have to take some time off. You might have to take some time off. Maybe taking some time off from work will be a good thing for you. Maybe like work is an absolute shit show and you take time off, and then when you come back, everyone is like, oh my gosh, thank gosh you weren't here. So you might avoid something. You might avoid some type of catastrophe, or you might avoid something because you decided to take some time off or take some rest or respite from work, okay? So like I said, I feel like it's going to be a very cozy full moon for you. So if you want to take some time off around then, I would, okay? So yeah, the other thing I want to mention is you might be rewarded at work in some way. So that's why I said the time off, but it could also be a bonus, an asset, or some type of perk. So that could be coming to you. And because you do have a lot of stuff going through your 11th house, I've been trying to tell signs this, but like, make sure you go vote. If you're in the US, make sure you vote wherever you are. But that's just an aside. If you have any elections going on where you live, please vote. Other things I would say is you may be finding some positive relief in creative works, or you're interested in promoting something you've been working on. This would also be a great time to put something out there. Venus will be going into Scorpio November 6th, and there could be some intensity in your relationships or power plays. It's in your 11th house, so I get this idea of some type of transactional relationship taking place. It could be a theme right now. Support systems might be contingent on tit for tat energy, okay? And it could leave a really bad taste in your mouth. So for some of you, there could be romantic feelings, maybe from a friendship, and you don't know how to take it. Maybe you don't like that. Maybe you are the friend who has romantic feelings for someone in your friend group. I just feel that these feelings may not be returned. They might not be mutual, right? And they might be unrequited. I see someone getting friend zoned. I don't know if you're doing it. I don't know if they're doing it. I have no idea. But I definitely see that there is something going on there. Another thing is I pulled cards, and that's all I was getting for you guys. Like, I was getting a lot of friend zone cards, and I'm telling you, it was like multiple cards: friend zone, friend zone, friend zone, friend zone. I was like, what is going on? So then I remembered you guys have the stellium in your 11th house, and I was like, oh, I understand now. So something could be very transactional. Maybe you feel very uncomfortable in a relationship because, one, it could be transactional, which is very scorpionic, and you don't like that. Two, it just doesn't feel like, you don't feel safe there. The other thing too is it could be maybe someone has stronger feelings for you than you have for them. So that could be taking place. Then Mercury will be going retrograde November 9th, and it'll be in Sagittarius. So this could be a time that a secret is revealed to you, especially from someone in your friend group, okay? Because that'll be in your 12th house, right? So I would just keep a lookout for that, okay? Don't be surprised if you hear something, or you might be the one doing it. I'm not sure. But Sun is going to go conjunct Lilith November 18th. And the new moon conjunct Mercury retrograde opposite Uranus November 20th. So to break that down, this could affect a group dynamic, okay? It could be shocking, and it could affect your standing within that group, okay? So I don't know if that whole thing that I mentioned is affecting your whole group, and maybe it just messes up the dynamic of the group. Maybe one person has to leave because of it, I'm not sure. But just watch out for that. And this might mean you go through a breakup, or you have to be honest with yourself or another person in regards to your feelings with that friend or with that person, okay? There's this idea of having to be maybe very honest with someone in your friend group. Personally, I believe you should redirect this energy. That's messy. That is so messy. But I personally feel like you should redirect that energy into personal growth for this transit, okay? I would invest in like Maybe you want to donate to charity. Maybe you want to invest in a charity. Maybe you want to do crowd fundraising for a charity. Maybe you have a social media presence right now. I have a lot of messages for people who have a social media presence right now, actually, because Venus is going to go conjunct Mercury November 25th, and Mercury goes direct on the 29th. And so your 11th house is the house of your audiences, okay? So you may have been starved for attention in this house. Maybe you weren't getting a lot of traction at a certain point. But this is possibly when you receive a lucky break. You might have overnight success. There might be some extremes with this house that get activated now that we had the stellium in Scorpio, right? So I see extremes in fame. There might be some virality going on for you. Whatever you do say can hold a lot of weight or gravity. It can affect or resonate with many people. And it could be an popular opinion or a controversial thought or thing you have to say. So I would say feel encouraged to share with others, because there could be other people who feel exactly the same way. So sometimes being divisive pays off. So you might want to say the hard thing, or communicate the hard thing. I just feel that in some ways that this would be a really good transit for you to be a little bit more honest and forthcoming this Scorpio, be speaking about something. Or even you know what I also see? I see that maybe like past content that you had would do very well. And so you might see a surge with that. Okay. Some other thing. Oh, and also like if you do see with this transit, like don't rethink your content necessarily and take things down. So you also have Saturn going direct November 28th, and that's going to be in your third house. So that's your chart ruler, and it goes direct end of the month here. And this is further support for your future endeavors. It's further support for any endeavors you really have. So Mercury also goes direct the day after that. So I see that if there are any projects that you have at play, they're going to be a lot more productive. They're going to go a lot more smoothly around this time. So if there's anything really big that you want to start, I would just do it after, November 29th if you can. Okay. So that's really all I have for you guys. Wishing you guys all the best. I think you'll do very, very well, especially towards the end of the month. Let me know how your month goes. If there's anything you're worried about, let me know down in the comments, of course. As you all know, I'm an astrology. So I would love to hear from you. All right, that's all I have for you, Capricorns. Talk to you guys later. Bye. Hey, Aquarius. So let's start with your horoscopes, November horoscopes. All right, so I see an emphasis on your 11th house and activism, all right, because we have Sagittarius there, and you have Mars and Mercury moving through it from November 4th to the 18th, okay? So you definitely might be you might be in a socializing mood, or you're working on projects or revising things within a group. Maybe there's a group effort taking place, something that you're also returning to. So you might be doing it within a group, or with support system, or with one of your networks, or a circle of friends. You might be trying to achieve something. Okay. Then I see Mercury retrograde taking place in this house. Okay. So given that it is a house of many different things like activism, it could also be the house of your support systems, your friendships, your connections, your network, social media. I definitely see that there might be some miscommunication taking place. There might be some issues with technology or getting things to go smoothly. So if you do need to take a breather, from the internet or from social circles or social networks, that can be something you do as well. This is also a good time if you are working on something like within a group. It's a really great time to brainstorm and to, problem solve and troubleshoot with people. You don't have to isolate and do things alone. You might need help in an activity, or you may need to reach out to people in your network to achieve something. Don't be ashamed or hesitant to reach out for help, basically. Jupiter does retrograde November 11th, and I see this being a good opportunity to bring people together. and collectively achieve something, especially people you've worked with before. You might find some positive solutions with the help of a mentor or someone high up in a respective field. Get this idea even of you like running into someone influential while you're like running errands or during your normal routine. I also get this idea that, this is random, but I get this idea the harder you work for money, the harder it will be to get it. You have Saturn, which is your chart ruler, along with Uranus, but you have Saturn right now and it is in your second house. So I feel, weirdly enough, there's this idea that maybe you were trying too hard to make money, maybe in a traditional way. It's actually a lot better if you get more creative and if you work with your strengths rather than necessarily your weaknesses, okay? So there's this idea of making money, making easier, facilitating things. I feel also that, I feel like you should be more open to also receiving. There is something about making money that should be easier for you. Like, I feel like you're fighting against the current and you shouldn't be. Maybe there is a easier, faster way to make money. Maybe it involves crowdsourcing. Maybe it involves charity. Maybe it involves taking a handout. I have to say it, or something. But I feel like you can let people help you, let people help you if they want to, okay? Other things I want to mention is like you need to streamline or figure out how to raise money or funds in a more sustainable or easier way. I'm really thinking about your 11th house. I feel like there is something very much you're doing with activism. So, because you're an Aquarius, hello. I feel like you might really be trying to make money or save up money for a cause, because it is Saturn in Pisces, right? And it's in your second house. So there's this idea of you, and Saturn right now is retrograde. It's going to go direct at the end of the month. So I feel like you're kind of revving up to gain more money for some type of cause, or you're trying to, there's a bigger purpose for money for you. It's not just for you. It's like to help someone in need. It's not just about you. Okay. That's kind of how I feel. There is a full moon in Taurus, November 5th, and it's in the 4th house, and it answers to Venus in Libra in the 9th. So this gives me the idea of local outreach or working within your community to bring about positive change. Gives me the idea of local outreach or working within your community to bring about positive change or outcomes. Okay. Scorpio, Venus and Scorpio will be transiting your 10th house November 6th. You could be seeing some type of change also to your social standing. So maybe you're put in a higher position. It could be the opposite. Who knows?
Sometimes it may be good, sometimes it may be shit.
It could be a promotion. It could be a demotion. It is Scorpio. So it could be going both ways, right? But I do see it being Venus and Scorpio. So I see it in a positive, but you may be perceived in extremes by people. So some people may love you, some people may hate you, okay? But you do evoke strong emotions in others, right? So this could be a love-hate relationship from the public or the people around you, especially at work, okay? Or in whatever career or type of field you're in. And I just feel like you have to be okay with being the bad guy. You have to be okay with being the villain at this time. And I just also see that with Mercury going retrograde in Sagittarius November 9th, opinions about you are going to be shifting. And it'll be in your favor in the end. But, so don't worry too much. But I definitely feel like you need to prepare yourself for people having their thoughts and their opinions and their ideas and beliefs about you that they're projecting upon you that you're probably not aware of. Or you're like, that's not me. But I'm just trying to prepare you for that. Like, you shouldn't divert from whatever cause you have. But I do feel that you might be misaligned right now. Some people might be not saying the best things about you, whereas there are people who are in your corner. So you're very divisive. Like, just your presence is very divisive for some reason. So you'll have to clue me in on why that is. But something about it is very striking. I would say to you, focus on your goals, stick to your principles, especially now with Jupiter going retrograde, okay? And I want you to stay on track. So if there's a purpose, if there's a vision, if there's this idea you have, I would ask you to see it through. Make sure you don't get distracted around this time, because that could also be happening. Okay, there's this idea of being knocked from a pedestal or something. Sun will be going conjunct Lilith November 18th, and the new moon will be conjunct Mercury retrograde November 20th. So there's a lot going on in your 10th house, and I just see an issue from the past coming to light or affecting you in the workplace. Okay, not sure what that could be, but I do see this could possibly change your position. This could maybe, I don't want to use these negative words, but it could threaten maybe your position in the workforce or in the workplace, okay, or in your career. I feel like you might have to rehash something or clear something up. There could be some misunderstandings there. Uranus is opposite the new moon, so some of this may be a little destabilizing for you in your status, okay? I also feel like you should have some savings stashed up, if I were you, just to supplement and cushion your income, okay? And speaking of this, the full moon could also indicate some life changes that affect you in the workplace. It could be that maybe in your life you had some life changes, and it affects your work life, okay? So that's literally what I just said, but speaking of this, the full moon could also indicate you have some life changes and they affect your home life. So full moon's going to be in the 4th house, and then you have obviously Scorpio taking place in the 10th. So there could be some type of emergent situation at home that maybe you need to save up money for, or you need to spend more time at home, or there just might be something that happens and it completely transforms how you do your work or where you work, okay? Next, I would say is Venus is going to be conjunct Mercury, and that's November 25th. And so, as I mentioned earlier, things should probably be ironed out around this time from any type of fallout that took place from before. And I would say by the end of November, you should be in the clear, because Saturn's going to go direct, okay? So, and also, Saturn's going to go direct, Mercury's going to go direct November 29th. And I just feel like you won't have to worry too much about it. It's also going to be, that new moon, like I said, is opposite Uranus. So if there is any news that comes out, I feel like it might be like a flash, like flash news or something, and then it gets disproven or something like that. So something gets kind of taken back with that new moon. So a new update comes out, and then it gets retracted or something. Okay, so I see that possibly taking place, where maybe an old issue gets hashed out again, and then it's kind of like, actually, we investigated it. It's not an issue or whatever. This is also another random tidbit, but don't be afraid of using any benefits that you have at work. All right, make sure that you use them to your favor. Some of you are worried how you might even be perceived if you are going through a vulnerable situation, but use whatever you have at your fingertips, okay? Like if there is leave you need to take, or like you can use like benefits that we pay into that, you can utilize it. For example, if you want to go on leave or something like that, like you can look into it. So make sure you read the fine print and see if you can utilize any of those benefits, like if you need to take some time off, okay? Especially if it's related to health. Some of you might have some health matters that arise, given your 11th house of support and benefits answers to the house of health and well-being, okay? So I see, for example, with you, and you also have Pluto in your 1st house, with Jupiter ruling your 6th house and Jupiter retrograde there, it could indicate that maybe you need to utilize benefits, especially from your job, to heal or to get better. And even Jupiter answers to the moon. So there's this idea of maybe home life affecting you, or something at home taking place. And so you do need to take a rest or a break or something like that. So I'm really curious how this all plays out for you, Aquarius. I was kind of all over the place, sorry. But I'm just so curious. Ooh, gosh, that was scary. It was my rice cooker. was interesting. It was a shock. So maybe something shocking does take place for you guys for Aquarius. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. So I'm very curious. Let me know. I'm an astrology. So I would love to hear from you guys. Let me know down in the comments, especially what you're worried about for November. I'm curious. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys. I will talk to you guys later. Bye. Pisces, last but not least. So I got your horoscopes here for you. I got the tea piping. This is your November horoscopes, Pisces. So we have for you, you're in a very exploratory phase in your career. And why do I say that? I say that because we have Mars and Mercury in Sagittarius in your 10th house. So there is this idea that you could be experimenting or trialing what you want to do with your life. And this can involve extracurricular learning, higher learning, education. It could be any of these things. So Mercury is going to go retrograde November 9th in your 10th house in Sagittarius. And this means that you could use any previous experience in your last role as a stepping stone, okay? For example, this could indicate maybe using previous credits towards a major change or to fast track a degree. Okay, Jupiter retrogrades November 11th in your 5th house, and your chart ruler is in the house of your passions and creativity and your love life. Okay, it's also children. So if that's something you want to try for, go for it. Okay, try again. Aaliyah. Anyway, so definitely I see this idea of you trying again. You could definitely be trying again for a kid or something like that. So that's interesting. But given that Jupiter retrogrades there and it's in Cancer, hello, how fertile is that? How fertile is that? You could be looking into that, but I definitely see you're questioning or exploring what lights you up inside. I feel like this too, like I just learned about this, right? There's I'm learning about some of these people, like some people are doing this thing called like curriculum, like creating their own curriculum, which I find really cool. So you create your own curriculum about a subject matter that you're really interested in. And so some of you might be interested in creating your own curriculum outside of a traditional school system. And that makes even more sense with Jupiter in the 5th house. So you're doing it on a subject matter that you're interested in solely. So some of you guys might even be doing that. The next thing I would say is, if it's not like traditional schooling, the next thing I would say is the full moon is in Taurus, and that's going to be November 5th, and it's going to be in your 3rd house, and it answers to Venus in Libra in your 8th. So you may be able to make peace with the decisions that you've made in the past and not really being scared of the future as much as you are now, okay? As much as you were before. So you start to make peace with these things. You start to say, you know what, if I hadn't done it this way, I wouldn't know better now, right? You may also receive notice of some debt being cleared or some type of positive increase in credit, or maybe you receive a loan or you receive a grant. It's also a great time to probably apply for these things or scholarships. I'm going to be honest with you guys, no one applies for scholarships nowadays.
Seems like nobody wants to work these days.
So go for it. Definitely go for it. You might also receive communication or acceptance of a loan or refinancing. So it's like a good time to, so it's a good time to apply for something if you want a favorable outcome related to money matters. Sun goes conjunct Lilith November 18th, and the new moon conjunct Mercury retrograde November 20th. So don't be discouraged if you get rejected or a situation experiences a hang up or a hiccup, okay? Venus is conjunct Mercury November 25th in the 9th house. Then Saturn goes direct in Pisces November 28th, and Mercury direct November 29th. So you will hopefully receive good news related to previous upset or a favorable outcome to whatever, whatever hiccup was taking place. So it was given like maybe there was, I get this idea even like, let's say you were like on a wait list or something, and then, I wouldn't want you to derail yourself by like giving up on that dream, because I feel like very soon you might receive news like, oh, you got accepted. You know what I'm saying? So like I feel that this new moon will bring something in, but it just might be delayed. Okay. The new moon on November 20th can just indicate a sudden change or reversal of some type of update or some type of news. And there's a lot of moving parts. So you'll receive an update or situation will change. If it's a good situation, it might change for the worse. If it's a bad situation, it's going to change for the better.
Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.
That's all I'll say, okay? Just hold off on any decisions till like November 29th or November 30th, okay? Don't like get ahead of yourself. And the last thing I have for you is that Venus will be going direct November 30th in Sagittarius. So I see that there will definitely be some positive news incoming, okay? So like don't get freaked out. There is definitely something being righted very soon, and it's just going to take a while. So I would say possibly like November 30th. And then the last thing I wanted to say, because my battery's about to run out, I pulled some cards for you guys, because you know how it is. When you get towards the end of the horoscopes, you're just kind of like you're a little dizzy. I am. My blood sugar be low and shit. So I decided to pull some cards for you. I pulled some random cards for you, and like, I was looking at your horoscopes, and you guys have, you know, the 9th house activated and the 3rd house activated. And so I remember I told you about this idea that like you might get some news, you might get disappointed in news, and then you get other news that reverses those, you know, that reverses those news. I keep using the word news, but there's this idea that like don't trust, especially during retrogrades, don't trust someone's word immediately. Like get it in writing, get things in writing, guys. Okay. So don't trust the words of someone immediately, because there will be some fall throughs. There could be some fall throughs. I got sugar coated. Okay. And it's sweet, but deceptive words, empty promises, empty compliments. I got broken promises. Girl, come on now. Like this is very clear. Disappointed expectations, failed commitments, words meant nothing. I also got payday for y'all. So that's what I mentioned. I told you guys, right? Your 8th house. I know. And then I got, oh girl, it just kept going. It was so clear. I got hidden behind the mask, hidden emotions, concealing true self. And then the other one I got was hidden agenda. I got hidden agenda, and it says secret intentions, manipulation, disguised as kindness, hidden motivations, too helpful to trust. So there's definitely this idea of like, just wait until after the retrograde for things to go more smoothly. And please don't make any real plans until like you get something in writing. And like, don't be too disappointed until like, I just feel like things are going to be constantly in flux. So there's this idea of just waiting for things to play out. It'll work in your favor. I really believe that. So that's really all I have for you. I wanted to pull those cards. And they were so on the money. Well, we'll find out. You let me know if they're on the money. Tell me if they resonate with you. You can share down below in the comments if you're worried about something this month for November. I'd love to hear. As you all know, I'm in astrology. So you can tell me. But yeah, that's all I have for you, Pisces. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.